Did you have any ideas or things that you wanted to talk about?
Not in particular, really, no.
Okay, that's okay.
Even if I did, I don't know how capable, I suppose, of just straight up talking for 2 hours I really am. So, more, even if I had something I was really looking to talk about, I'm just more curious of to what extent I'd be able to do that.
Yeah.
Because as much as, it should just be me talking to you, it's still, I've never really recorded myself to know if I can get over the hurdle of being recorded. Does that make any sense?
Like psychologically?
I suppose. I mean, I feel like a lot of people have a
hang up or something.
Hang up is a good word, Bruce. This is not the time for that. Bruce, that's not even a good place to be. You get like a stage voice. Like you can tell when people know they're being recorded.
You talk differently.
Yeah, and it's not the same as being recorded, but when we did the muck show or anything in high school with the bands and stuff, audience banter just never felt, I don't want to say genuine, I guess. It just felt, I felt as though I was playing it up because I knew there were
cameras on you.
No, it wasn't being recorded. No, it's a different...
People are watching.
Right, it's the people are watching, right.
Yeah.
It's now a performance as opposed to a, hey, come on, goddammit. Stop. Go away.
There are cats fighting.
No, it's just that it's a performance now, and it's...
Yeah.
I don't know. It can be difficult to feel sincere at times,
yeah.
I suppose.
Yeah.
So I'm a little interested to see how I would behave differently given my knowledge of the situation. Obviously,
do you want to be anonymous in any way?
Do I want to be anonymous?
I've had 3 people that want to be anonymous.
What the fuck? Because they're incriminating themselves, or what?
Maybe they were worried they were going to. Yeah, I think they were worried they could say something that would make their careers uncomfortable.
I'm very curious to know about that, but I suppose knowing about it certainly, at least right now, would defeat the entire purpose.
Yeah.
That's so strange to me.
Okay, you won't be anonymous then.
I don't feel like it. I mean, I guess we'll see what comes down the barrel here.
Okay.
I don't want to sign a waiver saying I ain't snitching and then get asked some fucking questions.
Yeah. We'll see. Welcome to the Regular People Podcast. I'm Wade Allen, and today I'm having a conversation with Ian Curtis.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Ian.
Hello.
One thing I like to do every podcast episode is get some background on the person that's being guested.
Sure.
So, cats.
God damn it. Bruce, go away.
Cats are probably a pleasant background noise.
It is kind of nice until it becomes not so nice. If it was just Bruce, but Jeffrey's... See what I mean, though? Yeah, they look enough alike, but it is remarkable how fat that cat is.
That is a fat cat.
Jeffrey is 15 months old? Just a little over a year old. Bruce is 4. They're I mean, granted, I think they're different colors. I mean, I'm certainly not the person to really be lecturing about colors, but...
Oh, because you're colorblind.
Because I am colorblind, yes.
That's an interesting fact about you.
I guess. It seems to be to other people. I don't think it's that interesting.
Well, it can't be interesting to you because
what?
You've never experienced non-colorblindness.
Haven't I?
Have you?
I have no idea.
They have colorblind corrective glasses.
Yeah, a lot of people ask me about that, but they seem exorbitantly expensive.
Yeah, they're at least $300.
For what I think, I mean, granted, I could be missing out on a whole world of shit and I would have no realm of comparison. I have no idea what it is I can't see necessarily, but based on my understanding of the world, I guess I don't feel as though I'm missing out on that much. It's not that I don't see the colors so much as I have I have a hard time distinguishing between them. That's really what it is. I don't know that it is so much that I don't see green so much as it is I can't tell you I did, I guess. I've always said it's kind of like dyslexia, We both are looking at the word dog, I'm just reading it backwards. You know what I mean?
So what color does green get mixed in with for you?
I don't know, they kind of fall into pools of warmth for me. I don't know, there are technical names for each different kind of colorblindness, and I guess I don't really... It's fun, I have pictures on my phone that you're supposed to exemplify all of the different kinds, and I'll show them to my mom, who is also colorblind, which something like 99% of the colorblind people in the entire world are men, so for my mother to also be colorblind is... something else, but she and I can't figure out what kind of colorblind either of us are because how could they? It's like trying to diagnose schizophrenia.
Yeah, I saw a stat that was sometime there was 1 in 10 men are colorblind. And that seems crazy like high. Yeah.
I mean, there are different degrees to which you can be colorblind.
Yeah,
there's
true.
red-green colorblind, and there's, the purple one. I don't know. Again, I have pictures on my phone. I guess I could be more technical about it. But no, I don't know. It just falls into categories of warmth for me. So, like, reds, greens, and browns are kind of tough. I guess yellows, oranges, and reds are hard. Blues and greens. I don't know.
That's all the colors.
I know it is. But, like, again, they're like... I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to explain
Reds,
it better.
Oranges, browns, blues, and... Can you see purple?
I think so.
Oh, I guess, yeah. It's not good to ask you that.
No, I know, right. But like this light behind me, I would say that's probably purple, yeah? No, what color is it?
Like white.
Oh, that's not fair. Like, it's not... No, it's bright, but that doesn't make it white.
It is painful to look at. It's, okay, maybe it's a slight pink.
Pink, really?
Pinkish white.
Okay, I don't know. I guess I would say purple. But again,
it doesn't help that the poster thing behind it is all pink, so...
Oh, I suppose that... I don't know if that is helping or hurting me, I suppose. I don't know. I've never had too much a problem with it, I don't think. Again, it just becomes... Like, with doing, like, lighting in high school kind of got hard, because, granted, gels are, like, usually named or, like, labeled, but...
yeah, for stage lighting.
Yeah, for stage lighting, but in terms of designing, it's tough for me to know that an amber light is better at whatever effect than a green one, because I don't know. I don't know.
I love having a colorblind guy do the lights.
Yeah, I mean, again, it worked fine for the most part. I feel as though I'm still able to be... Like, Mr. Moran, did you ever have him in high school?
Yeah, he was my AP art history teacher.
Yeah, Jeffrey, bags, all the time.
That cat really likes
I'm going to put it somewhere else. So he's too fat to get up there, so I'm going to go put it up there. No, but Mr. Moran, he was also colorblind, right?
I don't know.
Okay, I'm pretty sure Mr. Moran was also colorblind. Okay, I know he was, because that's why he's remarkable to me. I don't know, I would have really internalized too much about him, because I never had him as a teacher. But I believe he's a colorblind art teacher. Which, right. But it's supposed to help with shades or something, or shading, or I don't remember. I don't know, I feel as though I'm capable of color matching well enough, I guess. Like, I don't ever feel as though I'm wearing an outfit that clashes.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? Like, or like I can organize... kind of on a color basis a room. Like, I kind of got into interior design for a minute, which I think, again, being colorblind is sort of a hindrance, but I don't think it's only a hindrance insofar as, like, if someone... I feel I would still be capable of designing something that still looks good, just not necessarily something that is quite to the hue you were looking for.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not that the room would look bad in and of itself, but that it isn't what it was supposed to be, because I don't know. But in terms of, I don't know.
Was there a time in your life, an age, that you found out you were colorblind?
I don't know.
Is that something you didn't even realize until you were 12?
I guess my uncle was colorblind, and they always gave him shit for, arguing about what color pants were, and I guess it probably came from that.
Yeah.
Like my mom doing my laundry when I was 13 or whatever, and I wanted the purple shirt, and it was... Which, granted, she is also colorblind, so that's sort of the problem.
I guess maybe it's kind of expected for you if you've got other family members that are colorblind.
Is it? Again, with her being so just a statistical anomaly, is that... I don't know how that passes along.
It certainly makes it more likely for you, anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, not guaranteed, of course.
I don't know how certain things
I'm sure colorblindness is genetic.
Yeah, I'm sure it is, but in terms of how more effective a carrier she would be, I suppose, I don't know. So my dad is not colorblind much as he might protest to be.
Wait, he is colorblind, though?
No, he's not. I don't know, okay. But, like, I don't think so. I don't think so.
He's secretly hiding it. He's
maybe. I mean,
ashamed of his colorblindness.
I think maybe everybody just struggles with colors to an extent. I think part of it is just not being able to pick puce out of a crowd because I don't give a shit. I don't think my dad has spent a lot of his time thinking about maroon. So when it comes down to which of these jackets is burgundy, I don't know because I don't know, not because I can't tell. You know what I mean?
And I guess there's the deeper philosophical question of, like, how do we even know that we see the same colors?
Right, is blue to me, purple to you, I don't know.
Yeah, or schmorble,
Correct, well, right.
We're just labeling it the same.
Right, and I guess that's one of the reasons I've never really felt horribly impacted by it, because no one can really prove to me, I guess, that I am.
Yeah. What I want is sort of human implantations that make our eyes like the eyes of mantis shrimp, because we have three retinal cones, that pick up the primary colors.
Okay.
Or the human primary colors.
Perhaps you do, but anyway.
Okay. No, I think you do as well.
Sure,
they're just malfunctioning. And then dogs have two.
Okay.
So they don't have three primary colors. I don't remember which one they don't have.
See,
But
because yeah, like in media and everything that I've been brought up with, like in the movie Cats and Dogs, they see gray.
oh,
you
that's
know.
not right.
Which, like, anytime I've ever told someone I'm colorblind is what is assumed of me. So I almost don't even like using the word.
Yeah.
Because
because they think
they
you're
think I see
blind
the world
to
in
color,
gray.
so
Right.
it's just black and white and gray.
Right, but right. It's like being face blind, you know. I don't think you still see fucking faces. I can
Yeah.
see your face. I just don't remember it so good or can't
Face
discern
blind.
it. You know, that's a real thing.
Yeah, I've seen that on Arrested Development.
I guess. It's a real thing, though.
It seems way too comical to be real.
But I'm pretty sure it is.
wow. Yeah.
But it would be, even if it's not, it's the same concept. I still see your face. I just don't.
Connect it to my
internalize it in some
identity.
way.
But yeah, for mantis shrimp, they have 12 retinal cones.
Okay, so they see.
So they
all
can
of them.
see billions of colors, probably more than that because it's 12 times
Which
12.
is just a.
time, yeah.
I don't know how to even perceive that information. I think
I don't either, but I'd
I'm
love
more
to
capable of understanding a seventh dimension than I am
seeing.
Schmorple. I don't think. I can't come up with what that would be. You know, like I don't know. I don't know how to imagine colors that don't exist because
I think the seventh dimension is equally as unfathomable to me.
I don't know. I guess. But I don't like any color that I could conceive of is just a combination of other colors. So what color? How do I then new color? You know, there's a new depth of color or a new shade of color. But how do I new color? I don't know.
Well, no,
That's just wild.
actually, no. You're in a unique experience where
Okay.
I literally can't think of new colors. You actually could if you wore the color corrective glasses. Then you would have the experience of new colors you've never fathomed.
I'm potentially in a unique experience.
Where me, like, you would have to do some sort of
right.
mantis shrimp surgery.
Again, I don't feel as though there's anything in the world I'm missing, but I again, and even if it is, I just expect that it's vibrancy. I don't think it's really new color.
Yeah, maybe. Unless I'm colorblind too, which I could be. How am I to know?
That's why I don't have a moment of really remembering when I found out about it. You know, I know like there have been occurrences throughout. Like at work, 6 months ago, they told me to paint something raw silk, so I went and got the can that said raw silk, and I painted everything, and I went home, and I got called 2 hours later because it was pink, because someone put pink in the raw silk, and
what?
I don't know why. I don't know why they did that, and maybe just to
Well, what's
fuck
raw
with me,
silk supposed to look like?
White. I suppose that white.
One of the hundreds of whites.
Yeah, it's one of them. You're right. Antique white or snowbound or raw silk or we have a bunch of them.
This is just, I'm thinking more and more how colorblindness impacts like every single job you could.
Yeah,
mentioned
it
so
kind
far.
of does, yeah.
How did they figure out the very first person who was colorblind? Well, not the first person, but the first time anybody figured out that a person was colorblind.
I think it's always the same, just an insistence on being incorrect.
Yeah.
You know, it was certainly, I had to have been when I said, no, this shirt is green.
You're the one insisting, not the other person?
We're both insisting,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
that's exactly the point. If they insist that it's green and I say, oh, okay, no, you're right, then it's tough to say that I'm colorblind. But until I say, no, it's not, I think that's when you can tell.
Yeah.
We may, you could be colorblind and just be, willing to cave, but yeah, it makes it harder to tell. I don't have an instance that really, I don't know how long I've even really known for, I guess.
Is it something you ever think about, like that you are a colorblind person?
Yeah.
Or do you? Oh, okay.
Like, what do you mean?
Do you only think about it when somebody else brings it up, or do you think about it on your own?
Well, and I guess
Like I just re-remembered it because I forget it constantly.
It's not that I forget it. It's just that I don't really feel as though it impacts my life.
Yeah, it's not.
So like until I need to explain to someone else or do something for someone else based off of a color, when I need to paint something the color I'm supposed to paint it, when I want to design someone's house the color it's supposed to be, then yeah, it comes up that I'm colorblind. It's not that it wasn't there before, it just didn't matter.
Yeah.
Thinking about it changes nothing. It doesn't impact anything at all. Nor do I think the colorblindness itself does, but I, again, wouldn't know. So
maybe it's less impactful than dyslexia is, because I mean you can still see. Or like dyslexia, it's like you can't read.
And I guess that's an interesting difference to me, I guess, because dyslexic people can read.
Yeah.
It just takes
longer.
time.
Yeah.
Can I see color? And it just takes time. Like, because I do really feel as though they're the same, at least from my perspective, they sure seem to be. But dyslexic people then inevitably are able to say, okay, no, okay, this goes there, and then they can make it through. It's difficult, and I guess, I'm not dyslexic, so I can't exactly speak what it's like to be. But from what I can gather, dyslexic people are still capable of reading. They they have trouble. Am I capable of seeing? Does it just take me longer to see? I don't know. Like, I do feel as though when someone insists that something I think is green is actually purple, I start to try and look at it through that lens, and I'm maybe more able to do so. But
so if there are like two colors that you're looking at that to you ordinarily look basically the same, if you stare at them long enough, do you see differences? Like, you got two tones of green that you're especially bad at distinguishing. Do you get to the point where you actually finally do see the difference?
I don't think so, no.
Well, then maybe not.
Like, red and green are particularly difficult. Those are
like when you put a red and a green on the same, you look at the
same I was
time.
at work yesterday, and we got a new plunge router, but we had it mounted to a track, and there was a diagram for based off of what kind of plunge router you got. Were the holes you were supposed to use, but they used red and green. And my boss went, okay, so do the red ones. And even after he pointed to them, I would then look away and look back, and I was lost again. It didn't matter. Even after I drilled into certain holes and I know that that's the one that's red, it still didn't.
Yeah.
There wasn't any help there. It didn't change anything. So I guess not. I guess I might have answered my own question just then, I suppose. I guess it's not really like dyslexia because I don't think I can get over it.
Yeah.
It was easier, right? So when he would point at one and say this one is red, I could see maybe that one was red, but it didn't help me see the three other red ones. So. Again, I think it's just the power of suggestion more than anything.
When you play video games, do you ever use the colorblind assist?
Overwatch sucks. Oh man, I almost want to show you. It's dumb what they do. It makes me angry.
What, with or without the colorblind?
So
mode?
Right. So I play a lot of Smite, and in Smite, I think the norm. I want to say it's yellow and green. I think you are green and the enemy team is yellow, if I remember correctly.
Seems like a bad idea, even without colorblind.
I honestly don't remember, and even if I did, I wouldn't be sure to begin with, so it doesn't really matter. But the point is, the colorblind mode changes it to red and blue. Easily distinguishable. Those are not ever going to be mixed up in my brain, or I don't think any kind of colorblindness mixes those two colors up shy of the one that genuinely is only grayscale.
Yeah.
And even then, there's still different, shades of gray, so
one's closer to being black than the other.
Right. So I think literally every single kind of colorblindness would be able to discern them, but that's all it changes. The whole rest of the game is the same, right? That's not a problem, right? Because it only matters who's on my team and who isn't, and if you're not on my team, I shoot at you, right? Okay. That's all that counts. In Overwatch, it's basically the same thing. You're either on my team or you're not. I shoot at you if you're not. So it should only be the marker around you that changes. They have different settings and color, different kinds of colorblind settings for Overwatch, based off of the different kinds of colorblindness, which seems like it would be more inclusive. But they just change the entire game to make it look like what it thinks it would look like to you. Right? So I'm red-green colorblind, so it just kind of shifts all the tones so that it's kind of hard to explain.
So is it making it look like how I would see what you see?
Yes.
So
so it's
not for a colorblind person.
It's for me to explain colorblindness to someone.
Yeah, it's like fun, like be a colorblind person.
It's fucking useless. It makes me so angry.
I think whoever they assigned to do that
it's just spiteful.
Or they completely misunderstood the entire assignment. They're like, make a colorblind mode. And they're like, all right.
Oh, it's just wrong. Oh man, because. I have a picture. I'll try and find it quick. Not of the Overwatch thing, but just of what the different kinds of colorblindness are supposed to look like. But one of them, they have troubles with purples. That's the identifying factor of one of them, and that's then obviously one of the kinds of colorblind modes on Overwatch, and it just makes everything purple.
Probably makes it the hardest to see.
It's so stupid. I mean, again, maybe it makes everything orange, and I don't know. I'm, again, not the most qualified here, but I can tell you for a fact it does not fucking help me at all. Smite changes one thing, and I'm golden. But with Overwatch, I can't. It's not helpful in any way. The normal game itself isn't too confusing. It's just that people on your team I think are green, and people who are in your party are yellow, so I wind up shooting at people who are on my team pretty frequently. Not because yellow looks like red, but because I know it isn't green, and I just don't have that. It just takes that extra second for me to say yellow, that's Travis. I can't So I
Yeah.
just know not green, rat-a-tat, you know? This isn't the one I was looking for, but it is one of them. In all honesty, pictures 1, 2, and 3 look the same to me. Picture 4 is the one I am decidedly not. And picture 4 is the one I was talking about with the Overwatch setting where it turns everything purple.
All right, so
That's
for
Tritanopia?
yeah, so for listeners, there is 4 pictures. They're all Skittles, and one of them is normal vision, and presumably that's what you see, but maybe not. Deuteranomaly, which is it's kind of like toned down. I feel like you can still distinguish the colors in those ones.
I can't. Again, like 1, 2, and 3 are identical to me.
Well, I can still distinguish the colors of like it's just a muted green, a muted red, a muted purple.
Mhm.
And then in the third picture is Protanopia, and they all look like yellow and blue in that one. And then in the final picture, Tritanopia, it's really vibrant and they look pink, white, and blue. You can't see any green in there at all.
Mm-hmm.
Green is gone.
Because I think the one I'm supposed to be...
So when you're playing Overwatch as a Tritanopian, you click that option, and instead of making you distinguish the green, they just get rid of the green and then make everything look as that picture is making it seem. So it's not helpful whatsoever.
Tritanopian sounds like someone that lives in downtown Atlantis.
Yeah.
So, okay. So you said the first one was just muted, right?
Yeah. Well, the first colorblind one, which was Deuteranomaly.
Which is the most common, which is the red-green colorblind, if I remember correctly.
So that is what you would say you are.
It's certainly most
You're
likely that that's what I'm...
Deuteranomalist?
Okay, so I do see a bit of difference between the Protanopia. But I think it's in the reds, right? I think it's only the reds. I'm like trying to isolate colors and like, you know, compare. Because the images are the same. It's just the colors that are shifted.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to like isolate a Skittle and then look at it in both pictures. And I think it's the reds that look different to me for Protanopia. So I don't know what that means. Tritanopia is just different. I think it's all wrong. I can't imagine somebody's eyeballs. Because is that the straight up... I'm so confused by this. I don't know. I don't see how eyeballs work that way. Either way, though, the only difference between Protanopia and normal vision was the reds. So,
Okay.
Otherwise, pictures 1, 2, and 3 are the same to me. But yeah, Overwatch just tints. It's real dumb. It's just like changing the contrast on your television. It's so stupid. It's not fucking helpful. I haven't really messed with colorblind modes in much else because I don't think it's really necessary in much else. I imagine they would probably
Do it right.
do it how Smite does as opposed to Overwatch.
Yeah. I remember one of the things as a wee boy going to school, or not school, but religious schooling in like church and youth groups and stuff.
Oh, okay.
One of the things that they like, it was a great selling point on heaven and why it's amazing, is it was really came up a lot, was how you could see all of the colors that exist. You know, you would be just, your mind would be blown by when you get to heaven. You can see the sheer, like, God's creating colors all the time, and you can finally see them, and the human eye is so limited. So, I mean,
The idea of heaven always messed me up.
why?
Because all things have a beginning and an end. Like, when I was like 9 years old, I remember having just my very first panic attack because I realized that one day heaven would be full.
I mean,
That it's impossible for anything to truly be infinite. So, like...
the infinite problem, I think, is interesting for a different reason for me. But, I mean, if you're going with the logic that heaven exists in the first place, how could why would it fill up? You know? It's like, if it's an impossibility to begin with, you know, why not just say it's ever expanding and, you know...
Well, but this is, you know, like I went to church and stuff, so there was still the time in my life that that it wasn't an impossibility, that it was, you know, a guarantee, if nothing else. But
then the filling up part still was the roadblock?
Yep.
Did you ever ask, like, a priest?
Yeah, they do
whatever?
that. So I actually
Pastor?
did get confirmed. I've been baptized and confirmed.
Wait, isn't that a Catholic thing?
I have no idea. I was Episcopal. That's all I know. I do not know the differences between, like, the minute difference between an Anglican and an Episcopalian and a Lutheran. I have
And a Latter-day
absolutely...
Saint.
That one I think I kind of know. Isn't a Latter-day Saint a Mormon?
Is it? Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
They're
that's
Mormons.
much different.
Yeah,
that's
different.
much different. But I guess I could, like, from like a Baptist to you know, a Lutheran, I could tell the difference. But from, again, we went for like a Presbyterian or an Anglican or an Episcopalian or a Lutheran. Those are all kind of confusing to me, and I'm sure someone will tell me why they're different. But
You went through the rites of passage of getting naked and getting dunked in a little bucket of water.
I did when I was a
And
wee little
then-
baby.
Swearing a vow on Jesus' flesh.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yes. I was an altar boy too.
So you had a penis in your bum.
Well, you know.
A few times.
Yeah, there was certainly a time in my life that was something I believed, I suppose. But yeah, everything has to have a beginning or an end. So I guess I see, taking issue with heaven filling up as opposed to it existing at all, I guess is, but I was, as a child. But also, yeah, the inevitable end of all things is what sort of propelled me to freak the fuck out for a lot of time.
It's kind of like getting on board with the premise of SpongeBob SquarePants and then kind of getting pissed off that a pineapple would not last underwater that long. It would get rotten.
Right.
It's not realistic.
Being mad that Timmy Turner's always 9 years old.
Yeah.
They address it at one point because I guess they got enough letters.
What, does he just...
TV movie about why Timmy's been 11 for 11 years or whatever.
I thought there was at least like one episode or two where like it was him getting older and the fairy godparents were like...
Well, he wished himself older once or twice, but
Yeah.
no, it turned out to be an entire conspiracy. Timmy made wishes that he would never age or B lose his fairy godparents. And then
Those are allowed?
he wiped everyone's memory of it ever having happened. So he is one shady ass motherfucker.
Every single episode is about something wrong that he does in the rules.
Yeah.
And then the whole reason for his existence is he like ignored every single moral code that he had. Just
straight up broke the rules. Yeah, so there's like a whole TV movie about Jorgen like getting real pissed at him and
Von Strangle or Von Strangle.
It's Von Strangle. Yeah. No, he gets he finds out somehow because it's back cataloged somewhere. Time stopped moving around. Whatever. But yeah, it's a whole thing. That shit's wild, man. I was like took issue. Did you watch Which Fairy Godparents?
Yeah, I watched.
Do you remember the episode with the Sandman? He owned like as one would, he owned a mattress store, and I remember he like literally would sprinkle sand in people's eyeballs, and I thought that was pretty scary.
I don't remember.
You remember that episode? Timmy then wishes that he never had to sleep.
Okay.
And like in every episode of Fairly Odd Parents, and as is the case with any story of wish, it comes back around. Something you wish, it goes great. Something goes wrong, you learn your lesson.
Undo the wish.
I don't know what the problem was. I never figured it out.
Just fine.
Because oh boy, everything was great. He got to see the street sweepers turn into Transformers at night.
Oh, and he saw I remember the people like applying dew onto the grass or something like that.
Yeah, there were people that put dew on the grass. He like saw late night television.
Yeah.
But then people like the problem that arose was A, the Sandman was out of business, and that's not cool. And B, people were just like wired.
Wait, nobody had to sleep.
No one.
Oh.
Sleep was no longer necessary. Yeah.
Why didn't he could undo that part of the wish and just make it he no longer had to sleep.
But I'm into that wish, man. I wish nobody had to sleep ever.
Oh, it'd be great.
Yeah.
I mean,
and that's exactly my point. Nothing went wrong in the episode. Right? The big problem was that everybody's eyes were real bloodshot and they were all wired as fuck because they never slept. But that would imply that sleep was still necessary. They just couldn't. So they would all die in a few days because Timmy didn't do the wish correctly. So that was the problem. But there's no problem. If you wish no one ever has to sleep, your life just became 30% longer. Like, it infuriates me every single day of my life that 1/3 of my life is spent in sleep. Even if I die young at like 60, 20 fucking years of my goddamn life I spent unconscious.
Do you spend 1/3 of your time asleep?
No. I actively rage against the dying of the light. I sleep as very little as possible because it makes me so angry all the time.
But don't you think then that ruins your quality of consciousness the rest of the day?
One can make the argument, yes, but I guess then you have to weigh whether more time is
unhappy,
important. Like quality or quantity is really,
have you
the question
chosen
here.
Quantity in this case?
I think so.
So if you never had to sleep, but you still could sleep,
I absolutely not.
You think there's nothing like gained in sleeping? Like
no. Not that couldn't be gained in meditation. It's the same shit.
Or just like being able to not think about things for a few hours. Or like,
why can't you just do that? Are you able to not think about things for a few hours? Dreams still happen. You're still thinking.
Sure. I mean, yeah.
Like meditation is what you do if you want to not think about things for a few hours.
Yeah.
Which again, wild to me that you could sleep for 8 hours a night and then still want to spend more time basically asleep. That's wild to me. Learn to lucid dream and condense your time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I feel like there's lots of different ways you could think of as being the reason you're meditating, not just to not think about things.
No, sure, but again, if you learn to lucid dream, it's the same as meditation.
Is it?
Is it?
I don't think so.
Why?
I mean, lucid dreaming, you're like just
in control of your thoughts. What's the point of meditation?
Yeah, I guess if it's just your thoughts.
Yeah. And if you could lucid dream, you could put yourself in a black room and think of literally nothing if you want.
Yeah, you could.
So I think all things that can be achieved in meditation can be achieved in lucid dreaming. But in a world where I didn't have to sleep, yeah, meditation's rad. But no, I don't see the need for it if you really want to meditate. I mean, granted, yeah, you can't just snap your fingers and now I'm lucid dreaming. It takes work, but so does meditation.
Yeah, that's true. But like, how about a feeling of like physical being rested, you know? You're not up on your feet or sitting, you get to lay down.
Why can't you just lay down?
So then you're going to spend your time just laying down awake?
I'm not saying I need to spend 8 hours laying down. I'm just saying if I want to lay down, I'll have a lay down.
Okay.
You can hang out in a hammock and not sleep.
Yeah.
It's just as refreshing, if not more. I don't know, depending on how you're feeling today. I don't know. If you're feeling sleepy as opposed to stressed, yeah, it's not the same, but...
I don't know. I feel like there's got to be at least a few times where you've slept and you're very grateful for it, you know? Like...
Oh, of course, because I would die if I didn't.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to take shits, but I'm happy when I do them.
So in a world where you didn't have to shit, you wouldn't choose to?
No, what the... I wouldn't have an anus if I didn't have to.
No, like, you still have the anus.
Okay.
In this world.
But it's just useless now?
Well, no, it has a use if you choose to use
I
it.
feel like we were talking about philosophy like 2 seconds ago, and now it's my asshole.
That happens a lot in
This
philosophy, I
happened.
think. Everything can quickly turn to asshole.
I think that's true. I think that's a lot of what philosophy is about.
How things can turn bad or how things can turn to
How
asshole.
quickly I can turn into an asshole.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's the outline of philosophy, yeah.
Yeah.
No, no, I would not, God, every day I'm angry about it. I hate going to sleep. It makes me mad. It does. I wish I was alive longer.
But yeah, okay, so how about, would you prefer to live, you know, say, a set amount of time and not have to sleep, or live 30% longer with the sleep? Or are those completely equal to you?
No, they're not completely equal because I still age. So
Right.
in the 30% longer one, I would still get to sleep, but now I get to be 120 instead of just having more time.
Which would you prefer, being older or having more time while you're not old?
Having more time when I'm not old. I think every old person prefers having more time when they're not old.
Yeah. How
Yeah,
about
yes? So
how about like wanting to see more of the world happen? You know, more of history.
I guess there's an argument to be made there. Sure.
Not as useful as just not having to sleep.
I don't think so. I don't think seeing history happen is quite as personally fulfilling as, you know, effectively using one's time.
What would you do with your time if you didn't have to sleep?
The same stuff I do with my time now that I don't, or that I do. You know.
Well, I mean, like,
just more of it.
Yeah.
And get better at the things I do because I can do them more.
Is there like a list of things you have that you haven't had the time to do?
No, I don't think so. I don't think anything I don't do isn't because I don't have the time to do it, not largely anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, there's obviously stuff I would do if I had more time, but I think most of the things I don't do at this point are because for one reason or another I chose not to. So, no, I don't think it's that. They're just things in this world I view as unnecessary, and sleep is certainly one of them.
Well, I mean,
it is necessary, I understand that. It's not quite the same as the rest of the list because it's a physical necessity. I can't just rage against it and it'll go away. So much as, street parking. Paying for parking. What is that? What is that? Whose idea was that?
I mean, city governments certainly make a lot of money off of parking tickets.
Oh my god. It's so
and just
stupid.
parking in general.
No one was going to do anything with that if I didn't park there. So why do I have to give you $60? What the fuck is that? Oh, it just bothers me. It's just one of those things that everyone thinks is okay because we all do it. But like, what the hell? You don't have to do that.
I mean, I feel like it's kind of the same as just land ownership in general.
Yeah, but the government owns it. They just own everything that I don't. I don't like that.
I mean, the government owns the land in a lot of cases too.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's just one of those, it makes sense in a lot of ways, but insurance? Oh. What? It's just a mob. They're just the mob. It'd be a shame if something happened to yous. I ain't saying nothing's gonna happen. I just say you gave me $30. Maybe I look out for you. It's a scheme. It's the same fucking thing. It's robbing people of money because maybe something will happen. Which, yeah, maybe it will. But, like, how come we don't have a system to be prepared for that?
Yeah.
When the thing happens, not just people's wallets for when it does.
Yeah, it's like reverse gambling.
Mm-hmm.
You're just gambling.
That you'll have bad luck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm against insurance.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe because I'm poor, but...
That's another good reason,
yeah.
Once I own more things, I probably want them protected. But
yeah. Yeah, it's like I'm too broke to be Republican.
yeah, that's as the old saying goes. I've thought about that a lot, though. I don't know. Because I don't think the things that I use to define myself as a liberal...
Or because
I
of
don't
your poorness?
Yeah, I don't like to do that, but again, it's...
define yourself as a liberal?
No, I don't like to do that. I mean, granted, I don't like to define myself as fucking anything, because I don't have to, I shouldn't. But if I had to, yeah, I would pick myself as a liberal. Because I think social justice is more important than fiscal responsibility, I guess.
Yeah.
I think people count more than fucking money, because money's just a thing we made up. People are real. I can see them and touch them. I know they're there. Money stops existing when I stop believing in it.
Yeah, but I mean, I feel like you could make an argument that the two are kind of connected. Or the same. Like, the people, give in to the illusion of money, and that, like, sustains people's livelihoods and stuff.
Sure.
So without
But that's the same as religion, or...
Yeah, but if you still have, I guess you have to have some basis for trade or how people maintain their lives.
Right.
So if you don't have, like, the fiscal system, then people don't really have the means to survive, which then goes into the whole humanitarian
I don't necessarily
aspect.
think that's true. I think people have been alive for a lot longer than money's existed.
Yeah.
Granted, they always had something, but...
Right. I mean, we could live in, like, a hunter-gatherer society,
Mm-hmm.
definitely, with we just wouldn't have our current civilization or amount of people.
No, that wouldn't be so bad.
Well, yeah. I just feel like if you want to have... I know you're not saying that the fiscal side is so unimportant as to not matter at all.
No.
But if you didn't have a decent balance of the two and you went all the way towards, some social justice...
Yeah.
Then I guess the ideal environment would be hunter-gatherer tribes,
mm-hmm.
which a lot of people actually, call for. There's a lot of books about what's the term for it? I don't remember, but it's basically trying to go back to pre-agriculture.
Pre-agriculture?
Yeah.
That sounds terrible.
I think so too.
Oh, okay, well, no, but I don't know. I would have said I was fiscally conservative for a long time, but I don't think that's necessarily true anymore. I don't know. It's tough to really defend why I would have thought that to begin with, but I guess it was more that, people's money is people's money, but I guess it's more how the government spends their money that puts me in more of a left-leaning camp on that one.
So, what, you're still against taxation or whatever, but...
To a degree, for sure, yeah. I think most taxes are unnecessary.
But then the leftist side is you want taxes to be spent on more liberal things than conservative things.
The idealist in me just likes to think that any person in excess would share the wealth, that's what it means to be a person. Evidently, the realist in me doesn't necessarily believe that, and that's, that just makes me angry every day, too. There's I heard recently about, like, the old adage that money can't buy happiness, and that it can and does, but only up to a point. Yeah. And that point's like, I think $90,000 a year or something, like just enough that it's no longer, I don't have to worry about where I'm going to get food from or if I'm going to pay rent or whatever. It's not necessarily, living exorbitantly, but it's enough to sustain oneself. And that's $90,000 a year is the tipping point. If I can,
that sounds.
If I remember,
that was around 100,000, but that's
something like that. But again, that's $100,000. Jeff Bezos made what, 200 billion this year?
Yeah. Well, maybe not this year, but
right. Okay, the man's worth 200 billion. The point remains, like, if all it takes per year to make me happy is $90,000, in my entire life, I still need less than.
Oh yeah, significantly less.
Yeah.
I saw a thing a few months back that was, if you made, I don't know if it was minimum wage or $20 an hour, but somewhere in that range, if you work a normal job and you didn't ever stop for any vacation days in your year and you worked 40 hours a week, and if you started working from Jesus's birth or supposed birth until today, you would still not have as much money as Jeff Bezos.
No. Which
I think you would reach $1 billion.
Yeah.
but you would still not have 180 billion.
And like, a lot of people say that's not what he's actually worth, that's just the estimated value of his shares in his company, which isn't real money. It's not money in the bank. But number one, if he wanted that money in the bank, granted, I don't know any bank in the world that can shell out 190 big ones.
Yeah.
But fucking, if he wanted that money, it's not like he couldn't get most of it right now. He's not going to get all of it. He's not technically worth exactly that.
Yeah.
He can't technically get all of that. But if he said, give me all the money and didn't get $150 billion, I would be pretty fucking surprised. So, what do you need that for? I mean, Bill Gates is still accruing technically, but he's got plan on plan on plan to what he's going to do with it when it goes, or when he goes. And he's still giving like fucking crazy.
Yeah, he's got charities and he's fighting malaria and he's putting toilet seats.
Bezos had
sewage.
An expensive divorce and bought a yacht about it.
And apparently, from what the employees there say, runs a shitty company.
Do you know if you go to relentless.com, it brings, you watch Patriot Act, and I think that's where I learned it from, but relentless.com brings up Amazon still because that was Jeff Bezos' business name and business motto when he started Amazon.
Relentless,
was to be relentless. And he still owns the domain. He still owns it. It still routes you to Amazon. Why does anyone look up to him? Why is that okay? The dude is straight up Lex Luthor. He even fucking looks like him.
I think that's a value that a lot of more conservatively minded people have, is like the whole idea of a Slytherin, being ambitious and relentless, and it's all about number one, and you're gonna like work your hardest to make your billions or millions.
Yeah,
and as long as you do that, you deserve their respect.
I saw and I got in arguments about it that just. A lot of Trumpers would say, somewhere there's a 26-year-old out there living in his mom's basement calling our billionaire president a loser. And it's like, being a billionaire doesn't make you a loser. Does anybody think Mark Zuckerberg's a cool dude?
Yeah.
Dude's a loser. He's a fucking successful loser. He's a fucking loser. Look at him. Do you respect Mark Zuckerberg? No. So why do I respect Donald Trump?
Yeah.
Sure, he's worth a whole bunch of money that his daddy fucking gave him, but so what? That doesn't not make him...
Mark Zuckerberg?
No, Trump.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, maybe they're just using the word loser too literally, thinking like he succeeded in
winning at the
life
game of
by
economics.
capitalist means.
Right, but I'm sure Donald Trump is very happy with himself and with his life, but I wonder,
actually, right now. I wonder how it feels to lose a re-election. Probably very bad.
Well... I guess. I don't know.
But yeah, overall, he probably doesn't feel like a loser. One would expect. If he is as deranged as he seems, then he certainly doesn't spend much time on introspection.
No, I don't think he does. But I think that's conditioning. I don't think he's ever been told to think about his actions, Yeah. His actions have been inherently correct since the day he was born because we pay enough people to tell them that they are. Daddy's
surrounded him. As long as it resulted in more money than it was correct.
Even when it didn't.
Yeah,
He's gone bankrupt 4 or 5 times. But that's the cost of doing business. Yeah. But so that doesn't make him a loser. Even though, I mean, dude's worth as many billions as many holes as he's fucking put those billions in. He's had almost as many years bankrupt as he has in the fucking black. So I don't know if he's necessarily net gained just yet. But I don't think he's a bad dude.
You do or don't?
I don't. I think he's stupid. I think he's the same as George Bush. With the difference, I think, is Texas Republican versus New York Republican, which is, I guess, generalizing a little broadly, but still. Bush did everything H.W. told him to do. He fought in Daddy's war. He became president because it's what Daddy wanted him to do, and he did everything that he thought Daddy would have liked. It's fun to me because I want to do the same thing with Trump and say daddy a lot, but I just feel like it's going to be different. I don't know. I think it's going to hit a little different. But I think Trump is the same. I think he comes from the same impulse that it's all acting on daddy's wishes, You see, it's not the same. Because we all see HW in our heads. Do you know Trump's family name is actually Trump?
Trump?
Trump.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, they changed. His grandpa, I think, was the one that changed it. It's like Friedrich Trump. When they immigrated, it was Trump.
Oh.
Trump.
You ever seen pictures of his parents?
Yeah.
They look like superbly deranged.
Yeah.
And he looks strikingly like his mother. Yeah. It's almost like the first time I saw a picture of Trump's mom, I thought it was like a picture somebody made of Trump as a woman. It's scary.
Have you seen any of Bill Burr's stand-up?
I don't think I've ever watched a stand-up special by Bill Burr. Okay. But I've seen his jokes.
I like Bill Burr quite a lot, and then maybe this is one of the jokes you've seen. But he has a bit about when the stuff with the Duck Dynasty guy was going on.
What stuff?
When he got, I don't know if the show got canceled or if Grandpa Joe, I don't know what the fuck his name is. I don't care. But he made some anti-gay comments, which
is expected, really, of a
precisely. But in all honesty, I don't think what he said, if I remember correctly, it wasn't inclusionist for sure. It wasn't great, but what he said wasn't super crazy offensive. It wasn't good, but it wasn't crazy out of bounds, and it wasn't anything more than anyone would have expected of him. But that's sort of the whole point of Bill Burr's joke, was that, dude went to Sunday school in the 50s and the 60s, and he stood up and he said the shit that everybody said, and that gays can't get married and that blacks can't be in the military, and everybody clapped every time he said it because it was the thing he was supposed to say, and he kept saying it as he got older and older and taller, and then fewer and fewer people were left behind him until one day he raised his hand and said queers aren't okay, and there was no one left behind him.
Yeah.
So he's wrong and he should know better, but he only ever did what he thought people wanted him to do. Which I don't know if is true or not, but that sort of sentiment is sort of what I think is going on with Trump. I don't think he wakes up in the morning saying, I genuinely hate Mexicans. Yeah. He says, Daddy said Mexicans gotta go. So they're gone.
Yeah. Or like, it works well with my fan base. I'm going to keep saying it.
Sure. And he's only doing it because it's what people want from him.
Yeah.
That doesn't make it any less detestable, any less evil in action, but it doesn't necessarily make him an evil man. It makes him just as unqualified to be a leader, but I don't think it necessarily comes from a place of malice. I think someone like Mitch McConnell comes from a place of malice, but I don't think.
So rather than evil intent, it's more like a lack of conscience.
Of a moral compass.
Yeah.
He was born without one because his daddy paid people to be that for him, because then you can guide that, point it in direction. I don't know. Again, it's not super different. It's really not. But I don't know. I think it speaks to the man. I think Mike Pence might be a bad dude. I don't really know enough about the guy. Just looks like Ken got old.
The Barbie doll.
Ken, yeah. He looks like he's made of wax.
He might be.
He could be. I can't prove he's not.
I mean, I feel like if you're an old politician, you got to get Botox.
I mean, Bernie's been doing just fine.
But he looks old. Yeah. Like Mike Pence is pretty old.
I have no idea how old Mike Pence is.
Certainly not as old, I guess, as
I don't think he's nearly as old as either of the other
those
two
guys. But I feel like still most guys get in their 60s, they stop looking pretty good. Start looking like saggy butter. Yeah, I wonder though how many people actually do have that sort of conscience. Because like with Duck Dynasty Man, what you were saying, he keeps on saying the same thing his whole life because when he started, that was what everybody was saying, and then he realizes the world has changed around him. It seems like he just looked through history. That happens all the time. Like if you just selected any random person in 1790, they have no problem with slavery. Is that like genuine? Did they actually think to themselves like, yeah, it's okay, or were they just following what everybody else is doing?
I saw somebody clowning on somebody on Reddit earlier today about, some girl was saying that, well, you can't just outright call all Nazis evil. My grandparents were affiliated with the party, and they're some of the nicest people I know. And
yeah, I saw that one, I think.
That may well be, I think. And that's sort of the delineation I think I'm trying to point out here.
Right.
That they are evil. The Nazis are evil. Their actions were evil. But evil actions can be perpetrated by decent people. The road to hell is paved with good intentions.
Yeah, you can be despicable and nice at the same time.
Right, so you can be a kind Nazi, and that may well be, but that doesn't mean, we shouldn't take issue with what you've done.
Yeah.
We still must revile the Nazis because no matter what they thought they were doing, what they did was despicable.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Right? Trump could genuinely be the nicest dude in the world, but 250,000 Americans are dead, and there are kids in cages.
Yeah.
That's not. I don't care. Sure, maybe he gave every year's worth of his fucking salary back to the fucking government. Great. Maybe he's a church-going, Bible-thumping, wicked cool dude.
I don't think that's good, but sure.
I don't think it's good either, but that may well be. My point is, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
What he has done outweighs who he is.
Yeah.
Your actions count. So, yeah, no, I don't care how nice your Graham was, lady. The Nazis were bad people, and they still are.
Yeah. And it's like, with that grandma Nazi thing, it's kind of neglecting the fact that people act differently towards different people. Like, yeah, your grandparents are the nicest people you've ever met to you.
Mm.
You're not a Jew.
Go. God. How
Presumably.
many times I've heard that shit? How many times in high school? Yeah, man, fucking Justin's a dick. Yeah, but he's nice to me. I don't know. Like, it just... Oh, God, it's that same fucking energy, man. Like... Dave Chappelle's got an awesome joke about how, he's voting in rural America and he's standing in line behind poor white dude after poor white dude wearing shirts and hats that say, he stands up for me. And Chappelle's like, you're poor. He stands for me. He's right. Like, I don't know. I'm so interested to see what the future holds. I have no hope in my heart that 2021 will be a better year. 2022 maybe, but it's going to get darker before it gets better.
Yeah. Specifically with, like, I guess coronavirus, I've been hearing a lot of scientists make predictions that it's not going to be normal again until, like, 2023, 2024.
In what regard?
Like, no longer wearing masks and everybody's vaccinated.
Everyone's going to wear masks for quite a while.
For the rest of...
There will always be, from now on, when you walk into a Walmart until the day you die, at least one person will be wearing a mask. It's going to happen. We've made a new generation of germaphobes, and, to some degree, rightfully so.
Yeah.
But, I shouldn't say to some degree rightfully so, because that makes it sound like I'm downplaying things. We totally need to be wearing masks and stuff right now. But, even when we don't necessarily need to be, there will always still be people that are doing it, and that's not a bad thing. But no, that's never going to go away. But I don't know. I just think this is going to really shape a lot of stuff.
Yeah. I do wonder though, with the fact that they say it's a once in 100 years pandemic, if that'll actually turn out to be true, and because more globalization, more people coming in contact with each other, and also more work on technology and like biology and stuff, and presumably, as things keep going forward, the average person has access to higher and higher, like more and more sophisticated things, more and more dangerous things. Like you can find the DNA for smallpox just online.
Okay.
So makes me wonder if all that will mean that we will have continually more and more of these very dangerous pandemics.
I think that's tremendously unlikely. It's not so much that I don't think something else, isn't going to come around, so much as I think there is just no chance that we're this unprepared again.
Oh, okay.
Like, I think this is a once in 100 years pandemic, not because of the severity of the disease. Because the disease, while isn't great, for sure, it's not Ebola, The mortality rate is not nearly as bad as so many other things.
Well, I think the main thing is that it's just new.
It's the virality of it as well.
That too.
So that's what ups the danger level. So that's, the ease of spread is certainly what's...
Yeah.
But, even if we see something like this again, I cannot believe that we will be so caught with our pants down. Even if the government is just as slow to respond or slower, we've all lived through this now.
Yeah.
There's still going to be at least half of the fucking global population that throws a mask on today, or has even still been wearing one since today. So we're going to have to get weak again. And that's how time goes. We get comfortable, we slack off, shit happens, and then we get strong again. So
yeah,
I think this is that.
Might be better for like the amount of people dying, I guess, but I just wonder if there's any reason to believe more completely new novel diseases will appear with more frequency, so that we'll have to go through the whole routine of upping the degree of sanitization and like precaution that we have every like couple of years because there's a new virus, and maybe it's not killing everybody, but it's completely new, so we have to spend another 2 years finding a vaccine for this one. And it becomes kind of a new cycle, but I have no idea. I'm just guessing. Do you know anybody who's received coronavirus?
Who's received it? I don't think so. I really don't. It seems weird, but I really don't think so. Aaron had, I think, some family friends, so I guess I know someone who knows someone.
Yeah.
But I don't believe anyone I know personally has had it. I know some people that sure think they had it.
Did they not get tested?
I don't think so. I think I might have some relatives that are pretty sure about it. I guess I don't remember. It hardly matters. Well, it matters, but anyway, it doesn't matter at this point. But no, I don't think so. Oh, I have someone I work with at the Riverside that was pretty sure he had it. But again, no one tested him, and it's gone now. So he could have well passed it on to other people. I don't know if he quarantined or not. I don't want to sling accusations at him. I have no idea. I really don't. But I'm pretty darn confident he didn't get tested. Whether he quarantined or not is beyond me.
Yeah.
I'm pretty confident he's a smart enough dude to do it, but I haven't seen or heard from him since. Riverside's been closed for ages, and it's going to stay closed. Oh, boy.
Permanently?
Potentially. I mean, we'll see, but...
The Riverside Theater.
I suppose being more specific about it might not be a good thing.
Oh, perhaps. Riverside Bakery.
I don't have any proof of information, but I mean, like, any theater in the area, not even in the area, any theater period right now is questionable whether they're going to come back or not. Yeah. I don't think it's anyone that's safe.
The ballet is coming back. That's who I just talked to with my last podcast episode, a ballet dancer.
Okay.
They're doing ballet, so that's like theater. Also, I went to a theater performance.
Skylight is open.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. But that's all a for now kind of thing. We go back into lockdown, that'll end.
Yeah.
Like, the ballet isn't happening until it fucking happens right now. That's sort of the point. Even when theaters start to get back on their feet, if I plan a show at the Riverside, it could all go shit up tomorrow.
Yeah, that's true.
It all depends on, and the number of cases every day is getting worse and worse and worse. So we are just speeding our fucking way back to that shit. Yeah. Nothing is a guarantee until a vaccine happens. And even still, most people aren't comfortable going to these things. I mean, if the ballet does happen, it's either going to happen virtually or at reduced capacity. Reduced capacity. Yeah, that's not surprising. So, there's just generally less money to be made, which means they can't hire on as many stagehands or take as much, in income. And it just, yeah. I know, like, AMC theaters are starting to, like, rent out theater space, which I guess I kind of thought always was an option, but apparently it's a new option. No, as of right now, I think the thought for the Riverside is, the earliest guess I thought was April of next year, but I think they're realistically putting it off until probably 2022. But, again, that said, it goes the other way as well. As soon as the vaccine is out, the fucking day that people are willing to do concerts again, they won't stop doing them for 10 years. They're just every single day there's going to be some shit. I heard, I think Bert Kreischer was kind of talking about it, that, as soon as shit opens up, shit's going to go wild. Because, Beyonce is going to want to tour. So now she gets stadiums, which is going to push whatever the Jonas Brothers, who were going to do stadiums, down to, large-size venues, which is going to push whatever, someone like Bert Kreischer down from large-size venues to kind of now doing back rooms at bars and stuff, which is going to push all these small-time artists, who the fuck knows where, right? So not only is there going to be a ton of demand for every theater, but I think you'll see a lot of either theaters opening up or just people doing a lot of weird pop-up stuff. But yeah, the day that this is cool to do again, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Ooh.
That reminds me of another prediction that I heard from people, is that just like how the Spanish flu, 1918 or whatever, after that ended, there was the whole Roaring Twenties that happened.
Yeah.
People are expecting the 20s this time to also be the Roaring Twenties. Because after we finally are done with being in, pandemic mode, everybody's going to start fucking and
But I think there was a world war that also factored into the Roaring Twenties that we don't necessarily have going right now. I mean, granted, we are at war and have been for decades, but I don't know why that would impact.
Well, I mean, yeah, just the reopening of businesses and the fact that people aren't quarantining anymore, and now they want to like make up for lost time and live life that they were just kind of staying at home watching all the Netflix for 2 years straight. Now they're gonna like go out to a play every single night.
I'm
and
like
do cocaine.
I'm kind of curious because I kind of thought that now would be sort of the primo time. If I was gonna write a screenplay to really do that.
Yeah.
Right, because I figure outside of, once all of this is over, they're just going to be fucking going because they've been, off for 18 months or whatever, But I almost wonder if maybe the demand won't be altogether that high just because, like you said, everyone's going to be running around naked in the street. So they're not really going to be Netflix and chilling for a while,
Yeah.
So I think maybe that's going to lead then to the kind of consolidation of a lot of these streaming services. That would really be nice too. Really tired of all this shit.
I'm not like I see Hulu and Disney Plus merging, and that
that
fills me with dread.
Anything that merges with Disney, I lose respect for.
Yeah,
I'll say it on fucking record. Fuck Disney all the time.
I just don't like the monopolization.
No, it's bullshit. They own absolutely fucking everything.
Yeah,
every goddamn movie or television show that gets made, 80% chance Disney owns that shit. It blows. That sucks so much for everyone that isn't a Disney executive. It's dog shit. It makes Disney World cooler, I guess.
Yeah,
Disney World's cool as fuck. I can't shit on that shit. That stuff's awesome as hell.
Gonna have Mario at Disney World soon.
Yeah, probably. Fuck them. Just fuck them a whole bunch.
Wait, you're a fan of Disney World?
Yeah, I mean, like,
it's super expensive though.
Oh yeah, no, okay,
like $100 a day.
Ideally, I'm a fan of Disney World. Like, the magic that one feels once they step in, but every, like, technical aspect of it, fuck it. Like, fuck all of it. But no, it's, like, a cool place to be, for sure. It is. It definitely is. I mean, I wasn't a huge fan of it, because I'm more, like,
Islands of Adventure person? Or,
no, I like the thrill rides more than
your
scenic Pirates of the Caribbean shit, and It's a Small Worlds. Now granted they have some of that, but I just go Six Flags. It's whatever. It's more fun, I suppose, in that regard. But there's not the magic to it. There's some magic to Disney World that's pretty fucking neat.
There's a charm.
It's kind of undeniable.
Isn't that also there in like the Disney movies though?
What?
That charm and that magic, that like Disney feel.
But that's precisely my point. Point to a movie. Do you feel the Disney magic in Age of Ultron? No. Maybe it's a different kind of magic. And I guess, Disney's sort of owned Marvel. Wait, have they? Has Disney owned Marvel since Iron Man?
No.
No, I don't think so. I think Marvel...
It was more recent. Marvel Studios
so the
was Disney.
Right. So the Marvel magic is not, natively Disney's.
Yeah.
So I would agree. Yeah, there's something you feel when you watch your Lion Kings and your Aladdins and your Moanas and all whatever. But when you watch, I don't know, Real Steel with Hugh Jackman, I don't know if that's owned by Disney or not, but it might as fucking well be.
Yeah.
That's my point.
Yeah, it's like we already have to deal with at most 2 internet providers in your area. Usually just one.
Yeah.
It's not going to be good when there's just one streaming service.
No, and I don't think there ever will be, but there doesn't need to be quite so many. Every streaming service has 1,000 original series, which just means that dog shit is getting put into production and spent money on time and time again, which is just a waste of fucking money. Like, oh man, I get a little passionate about film and stuff sometimes, but just the sheer amount of money that went into making Game of Thrones for it to end with a big old dog shit is goddamn unacceptable. That could have fed the entire country of Africa until I die. And instead they made...
You said country of Africa.
Sorry, I did. I chose You're right. Whoops.
Okay.
Anywho.
Yeah. Oh, it is depressing. And, it's kind of sad now, too, because now with the pandemic, it's almost like David and Dan have an excuse to hide. Like, a good reason to never show their faces again.
I'll never die happy if I can't ask what happened. I just need to know what happened. I just can't not know what happened. I have to know.
I think it's just hubris.
The answer is
stupidity.
But
yeah.
But why? When? How? Everyone? No one cares. all of you, when?
No, I think there are videos you can find of the actors at least
Sure.
showing
But no one on the production team.
disapproval.
It seems, again, total upheaval. Season 4 ends, everyone gets fired, or leaves, or I don't know what. They kept 2 writers and 2 directors, and then everyone else that had ever written or directed an episode of Game of Thrones was never to be heard from again. Completely new cast of writers and directors. What the fuck happened? Because that's when shit went wrong.
Yeah.
Why? That's all. That's all. That's all. Is it Dave and Dan? Yes, I'm sure it is. I'm positive it is. Have you seen Wolverine Origins? Why did they get to do Game of Thrones? But anyway, everything else that David Benioff has ever touched is absolute dog shit. It's so bad. The first thing he did... Oh my god. Oh my god, they were supposed to direct a Star Wars. They turned it down.
That's so...
They got paid $200 million from Netflix to do...
Civil War thing?
Fucking know. No, that's their HBO series. Is the Civil War thing. Which still isn't in production as far as I'm aware.
Yeah.
$200 million from Netflix. And the first thing David Benioff does post Game of Thrones is a Leslie Jones stand-up special.
Oh, yeah. Was it good?
If in any way that it was good was not due to David Benioff. Why would they have him do that? Why did he do that? What the fuck is going on?
For anybody who says that it was only season 8 or even the last few episodes of season 8 that was bad,
No,
you are wrong.
I'll qualify that statement, I think, because there's a marked decline, but I think we breach bad in season 8.
Not in season 7?
Okay, yeah, in season 7, but that's still... If they turned it around for season 8 and they just slammed it home, then we could have a debate on whether or not season 7 was bad, I think. I don't think it was so outlandishly bad that it would have tarnished the entire series in and of itself.
I think this is season 8 tainting us in hindsight, because I think when we finished watching season 7, it was hard to imagine how Game of Thrones could get worse.
Yes.
And then it did. And now we think season 7 is not so bad.
Yes. That's the beauty of hindsight, yeah.
When it totally still is garbage. It's just
absolutely.
It's almost a masterpiece compared to what season 8 did.
Yeah. Oh, I'm not on team season 7 is good. I'm just saying there is a conversation to be had were season 8 not absolute dog shit. You know. You could make a case. If they turned it around for season 8, you could still go,
Yeah, be forgivable, maybe.
Sure. You argue that the end of season 4 is where it begins. I would certainly not. I think season 4 is through and through the end of season.
I thought you said...
At the end of season 4.
Right.
After season 4
is
when they completely upheaved the entire production team.
Yeah.
But you...
No, I think the decline, I think, in Game of Thrones happened
mid-season 4,
in
right?
season 4.
Yeah, I don't agree with that.
There were some departures from the books, and I know that's not always a bad thing, but in this case it was.
I don't think it is ever in and of itself a bad thing.
Yeah, I know. But in this case, it was.
Yeah, sure. Contextually.
Right.
I don't think it's ever... in and of itself, I don't think you can ever say they didn't do what the book did, therefore it is bad.
Yes, yeah.
It might be bad, and then the book did something good, so if they'd listened to the book, sure.
Yeah.
But, I'm sure I can find examples of things that they did that the book didn't do that I like more. I can't, but...
Well, there are plenty of additions they made, especially dialogue between Cersei and Robert Baratheon and stuff in season 1.
It's just some good stuff.
Yeah, or between, Varys and Peter Baelish.
Oh, God.
Those were good scenes that don't exist in the book because neither of them are point of view characters.
Oh, they're so good. Those scenes are genuinely some of the best television ever. Oh, man. Yeah. The shit with... Oh, God.
And both of their... spoilers for Game of Thrones, by the way.
I guess.
Both of their deaths in the show were
horrible.
Two of the least satisfying deaths in the entire show.
That would... Yeah, it's probably true.
Baelish
should have certainly been made to suffer.
By the time Daenerys does whatever she does, who gives a fuck about her anymore? But Baelish, Varys, bad.
I don't think I have an issue with a lot of what season 8 did. It's just the time frame in which they did it. What? And, a lot of what season 8 did. I guess, whatever. But
there's a lot.
The stuff with Daenerys, though, if she'd still burnt it all, fine.
Yeah,
I could have seen
it could have happened.
Yeah, you just needed to build to that.
Yeah, it can't be one episode
of just...
Yep.
Because
some bells.
Yeah. No, we needed more build. And the show was all about fucking build. Man.
And they purposefully decided to make seasons 7 and 8 shorter, even though
Which is
they
almost...
totally didn't need to. And I'm sure HBO would have loved it if they would have done more.
I absolutely guarantee you that Dan and Dave wanted 7. And that someone somewhere, some HBO exec, maybe George himself, stepped in and was like, you can't do 7. Imagine if they'd done 7.
7 seasons?
Yeah. That's, even if they'd done season 7 full 10 episodes, we're still losing 3 full episodes.
Yeah. I don't know, I feel like maybe there's some rumors going around for 7 seasons many years back, and I was hoping like, okay, they could do 7 seasons, and then the 7th season could be like 2-hour episodes, and that would be fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, even if it was 10 episodes, all normal length, it would not have been enough time.
2-hour episodes would have been kind of the thing to do too, but
yeah, every single one a movie.
Right. Because at that point in the story, just everything that's happening is just so...
Yeah, climactic.
Yeah. I can't...
Season 6, though, is awful in many ways, especially Arya's entire plotline.
Arya's entire plotline's garbage. Everything about her character in post, like, season 5 is unredeemable.
Yeah.
No, she marked the decline, for sure. Her character just went by the wayside hardcore. Until, she became the... Who was Azor Ahai? The Hound?
Who's to say? I think it must have been Arya, I guess. She's the one who killed the Night King.
Yeah, but they didn't make any sort of implication, Like, they started to kind of suggest that it wouldn't even necessarily be the person that killed the Night King that was Azor Ahai, that maybe there was something greater.
Yeah. Azor Ahai is all of us.
I am Spartacus. I don't know. I feel like the implication has to have been that it was the Hound, but then that would imply that the agent of Rolor was the Mountain, that he was the representation of darkness.
Yeah,
and if that's the case, as it could have been, I mean, they could have done that, but they fucking didn't.
Yeah.
They fucking didn't. He stood in the corner, he lurked, and he punched a couple people once. That's it. He was there to look a little spooky. There was no greater purpose to him.
Yeah. Everybody on the internet was so hyped for Clegane
Bowl
for like 3-4 years.
Oh, I wanted Clegane
And then it
Bowl.
actually happened, which I honestly wasn't expecting it to, because...
I figured it had to.
I don't know,
it was going to end in fire, and that's why the Azor Ahai, story seems like it fits. But
still, like, then when Clegane Bowl actually happened, it was not engaging, and it was like, who even cared at that point about Clegane Bowl?
God, man. Ed Sheeran.
Ed Sheeran, that's what you come back to.
I can't stop coming back to Ed Sheeran. His stupid fucking face.
Yeah, I guess it is pretty stupid to insert a pop star into a...
Just the dumbest.
Game of Thrones.
And, like, their whole excuse was, he's a person. And, like, maybe this is controversial, but no, he's fucking not. He's a goddamn brand. Man, like, not necessarily...
Like a marketing stunt to put him in.
Yes. Yes, it fucking was. I don't know, let's look. Did he have an album that came out around then? I bet he fucking did. I don't know, could be off base, but even if I'm not, or even if I am, I don't care. The point remains, he's a brand. Like, someone as big as him doing something like that is product placement.
Is that not true to a certain extent just for actors in general? Like, when you have Sean Bean as the biggest actor in season 1, kind of doing the same stunt a little bit as Ed Sheeran. It's like a name that at least some people are excited about. People like me that love Lord of the Rings.
An actor's job.
Yeah, I guess it's within that same domain rather than searching for somebody. Yeah.
Well, there's that as well, but your goal as an actor is generally to avoid being typecast, right? So it's tough to consider then yourself as a brand if what you're actively trying to do is to be indistinguishable from what you just were. But Ed Sheeran, if they'd put Ed Sheeran in a beard and an eye patch and he talked like this, then he wouldn't have been Ed Sheeran.
Yeah.
But he was little baby-faced boy with a guitar and a song in his heart. He was fucking Ed Sheeran.
Yeah. They used the singing, yeah.
He sang. If he didn't sing in the fucking show, it wouldn't have been product placement. But it fucking was. It's not the same. You can put him in there. He is a person, but you didn't treat him as a person. You treated him as a product.
Yeah. I guess like when Dave and Dan insert themselves into the show by being Nords in like the feast, where the infamous coffee cup is on the table. And literally they're looking right at it, 4 feet away from it, and it still made it into the live show on TV. At least they were like, yeah, they're wearing beards and they weren't playing themselves.
Right.
I mean, and they're not pop stars, but still, at least they went through the effort of playing a character.
Right.
We didn't do the same with Ed Sheeran.
I have a sneaking suspicion that the coffee cup thing was intentional.
And in what world is that a good publicity stunt?
It's not, but
just all publicity, or
all publicity is good publicity. Exactly.
But I already had all the publicity.
This is my only explanation. It genuinely is. The last Star Wars cannot have been as bad as it fucking was. It can't. With the number of fucking hands in that shit,
no, that's the problem.
Can't.
Incompetence builds like the more people you throw at it.
But competence should as well.
It's like that, what's that word? Oh, designed by committee.
Okay.
It's like that. You know, everybody's voice has to be heard, so you have a mishmash of things that don't actually build into one cohesive element.
Sure.
One cohesive story.
Right.
So it's just nonsense and garbage because you don't have one person's creative vision like you had with George Lucas in the original Star Wars movies. Now you've got just Disney and their, executive board.
Magic, right?
Yeah, and they're like, this is what needs to happen. No, this would be okay. We'll do both, and then both makes no sense.
Yeah.
Like we need Emperor Palpatine in there, and it should not have been.
Again, I said it before. I'll say it again. It is not the Skywalker trilogy. It's the fucking Palpatine trilogy. He and he alone is in all 9 movies.
He is in the first 2?
He exists in all 9 movies. He's not literally in all 9 movies.
Wait, you mean he's the character that lives in all of them? Like he is okay.
So
he's
like a piece
in
of every
worlds,
trilogy.
He is okay.
Yeah.
There.
And they're trying to kind of imply retroactively that Palpatine was sort of puppeteering things in The Force Awakens and Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
So he's in all the movies.
Okay, as like an acting force.
Correct.
He's unseen, but still there.
Yeah, he's controlling the events of the stories.
Yeah.
The Skywalkers, I wouldn't even argue, are the main focus of all of the stories. Obi-Wan is arguably the main character in the prequel trilogy. Luke is definitely the main character in the originals. But Rey is the main character in the new ones. So you've got a Kenobi, a Skywalker, and a Palpatine taking the helm. How do you call that the Skywalker trilogy? Your protagonist changes fucking last names every time. But the antagonist stays the same the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you don't really name things after the antagonist, though, And they appear less on screen. They're less actually important.
I would agree that it is more, it's more normal to name things for the protagonist, but when the protagonist changes every trilogy, how can you then call, every trilogy, how do you then call it the Skywalker Saga?
Yeah.
I would certainly argue Kenobi is the main character of The Phantom Menace. I could probably argue he's the main character of Attack of the Clones.
It seems like he is. I feel like most of the story that I remember follows him in Attack of the Clones.
And even in Revenge of the Sith, I could even make a case for it. I don't know that I would have as much luck with that one. But at least for 1.5 to 2 of the fucking movies, Obi-Wan Kenobi is the main character. He's absolutely the protagonist. I mean, Anakin Skywalker, certainly at the very least, Revenge of the Sith, is the antagonist. How is that the Skywalker trilogy? Or Skywalker Saga? How the fuck is that the Skywalker Saga?
It's the Skywalker Saga because Kylo Ren is much more interesting than Rey.
Disagree.
Really?
Yeah. Kylo Ren sucks shit, dude.
Well, okay, he was, I think, the only good part of the last movie.
No, I think was the only good part of the last movie.
I think.
Damn, I'm really trying to find a good thing, man. I really hated that.
Yeah, I didn't like Kylo Ren in the first new movie.
The fuck can you just in genuinely the shortest opening crawl in Star Wars history, then just drop, oh, by the way, Palpatine's alive?
Well, that's the thing they start off with. They say Palpatine is back.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, they don't really give any lead
But
up.
think about any other crawl. It's always 10 years have passed since the last sight of the Order. Darth Vader has taken control of the right wing of the galaxy. Imperial forces, it's setting the scene.
Yeah.
It's not straight up just throwing exposition at you, let alone a giant, gaping climactic plot point.
Yeah. There was no setup. They actually used the trailer for the movie as setup for itself.
Yeah, which is dog shit. Absolute garbage. I genuinely think Return of the Jedi is the only redeemable movie in that entire trilogy. And I think most people would disagree with me on that, but I really think The Force Awakens sucks shit. And whatever the last Rise of Skywalker, I don't even care what it's fucking called.
No, the second one? Yeah. I actually thought the second one was
fine,
approaching decent.
Yeah. It is easily, far and away, my favorite of this trilogy. It's
It
not
had
close.
actually like a different storyline for once.
Yeah. And they like tried new things. And like, yeah, okay, fine. Blue milk or whatever the fuck isn't great.
No, I actually loved how they put Luke into a like they cast him down. He was like a broken hero. Like I loved that. I didn't want him to stay masterful. Like
No, the only things I really took issue with in the movie were not Luke's character so much as his initial response to Kylo. You
which
know,
is what?
like, so in, the original trilogy, Luke spends the gap between every movie, I think, is supposed to be 8 years.
Oh, really?
So he spends, I believe, then 24 years. Well, the gap is supposed to be 8 years, so there would be 16 years spanning the trilogy. Regardless, then he spends over a decade going, maybe there's some good in Darth Vader. Literally the most evil person in the whole fucking universe, who's literally wiping out corners of said universe indiscriminately. Maybe there's some good in it. Even when I didn't know he was my daddy, maybe there's some good in it. But a 16-year-old boy, I know, right? But a 16-year-old boy shows a bit of angst and a wee bit of power, and it's time to kill him. That I don't.
Well, he had that urge, but then he didn't do it.
Sure, but he had that urge, and the urge is my problem.
Like Luke never showed an urge in the other movies to
murder 16-year-olds, because that's what we all hate Anakin Skywalker for doing, and is what made him Darth Vader.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I don't. I'm not into that. So no,
Yeah.
But everything that happens as a result of that urge, I think, makes a lot of sense. His not doing it, his casting aside of the teachings of the Jedi, and everything that he became, I think, makes perfect sense given, the origin, the jumping off point of the thing I don't like. I don't agree that he should have ever done that.
Yeah.
I don't like that he ever did that. But given that he did, everywhere it went, I think, makes perfect sense. I also don't like Super Leia. That makes me angry.
What? How she zoomed herself through space?
The only reason I can possibly think of...
She's force sensitive. That's what they say.
Sure. And the only reason that would be in any way, shape, or form relevant is to imply that she is Rey's mother.
Why? Just because...
Why else is it relevant?
Are you talking about her survival of the...
Yeah, when she got shot out into space and then zoomed her way back in.
Why would that have anything to do with Rey, though? Just so that she's around to tell her or something like that? So
No.
he doesn't die? Or
No, to just imply the latent power of Skywalker women.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay.
Because we've never seen Leia demonstrate anything like that before, but all of a sudden she can suck herself back in from space.
Yeah.
That's pretty fucking crazy. So it just kind of suggests... And then Rey, who has never done anything, nothing, no how, nowhere before, all of a sudden goes toe-to-toe with Kylo Ren. There's a symmetry there, So that's the only reason I can think of that would have been relevant.
I mean, I feel like Stormtrooper Man was spontaneously pretty darn good at lightsabering as well.
I think it's not hard to be spontaneously pretty darn good at lightsabering. If you're pretty darn good at, dark sabering. Regular sabering.
The Stormtroopers have sabers?
No, I'm not necessarily saying that's the case. I'm just saying, I don't know, how good at swordsmanship do you think you'd be with 20 minutes practice? Not excellent, but fine.
It just seems like in that first movie, The Force Awakens, everybody can be a Jedi.
Yeah, it sure seems that way. And that kind of felt like it was going to be the purpose of the whole fucking trilogy, because that's what we did with The Dark Knight, because fuck that shit too, but... Oh.
Everyone is Batman. Everyone
can be Batman, even though,
right.
Not everybody has the capability, time, or, fucking...
That's the message. Everybody can be Jeff Bezos. If you work hard enough.
Yeah, for sure. We could all be Jeff Bezos, definitely.
And, Bruce Wayne, he's like Jeff Bezos.
He worked less for his money, but does more for society, so, I don't know.
Well, I mean, people don't know that Bruce Wayne is Batman.
Sure.
So, from a layman's perspective,
sure, right.
Bruce Wayne would probably look just like Jeff Bezos.
Yeah, and Jeff Bezos he's just as easily
people probably don't like Bruce
Elon
Wayne.
Musk in the dark, I don't know.
Or Elon Musk, sure. Somebody who...
No, I'm saying Jeff Bezos is Elon Musk.
Elon Musk is an improvement?
I don't know. Is he?
I don't think so.
I don't know. Maybe. He's at least an improvement.
I think Elon Musk's reputation has taken a skydive in the past...
it's real bad, yeah.
Year
It's gone down a lot, yeah.
People used to think he's cool, and now they don't. And I'm one of those people.
I don't know. I think people, he was the Iron Man, and now he's the Lex Luthor.
Yeah.
No, he's got supervillain makings, for sure. We definitely all need to be nice to him on Twitter, though, because, that's his origin story. For sure.
People are mean to him on the internet.
Yeah.
So he hates Christmas and all those.
I don't know, man. Like, I don't know. He's got mad supervillain vibes for sure. Like, not necessarily. He seems like a pretty happy-go-lucky dude, but he's one of those.
He's got an accent.
Yeah,
There's that.
exactly. He's like Mads Mikkelsen in Skyfall or whichever one he was in. I don't watch Daniel Craig as James Bond. He's a bad James Bond.
I don't think that was Skyfall. Skyfall was...
Casino Royale, then?
I don't know. The only one I've seen is Skyfall.
Skyfall?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
so one of them
true.
has Javier Bardem,
That's
and the other
Skyfall.
one has Mads Mikkelsen.
Well, there's
Mads
like four
Mikkelsen,
of them
Casino
now.
Royale, then?
There's Quantum of Solace and the one with Baron Samedi.
Spectre is the
Spectre.
Yes. Soundy. What is he? They like do a Mexican Day of the Dead parade at the very beginning, but I think it's kind of the extent to which.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I was speaking from the trailers, and it seemed like Baron
no,
Samedi
that's
was
just
going
like-
to be the main villain.
No, it's the tried and true Bond villain. I don't remember who it is. They
Doctor No.
Nah, it could be. I mean, it may as well have been. I don't know. Christoph Waltz came in, got a scar on his face, and said, "I've been puppeteering all of your troubles, Bond."
Why name it Spectre if it's not about a guy who pretends to be...
A ghost?
Yeah.
It's because he's like been shadow controlling.
Puppet Master?
Yeah. It's better than Puppet Master.
I don't know.
Spectre sounds. Plus, you get to do the R-E. Oh, it makes it sound so British.
You could do Puppet Master R.E.
Oh, I hate it. Spectre was a bad movie, man. Spectre was a real bad movie.
I didn't see it. I just remember making cardboard cutouts.
I hardly even remember anything about it. It just was not fun to watch. It's the only one of the Bond movies, of the Daniel Craig Bond movies I've seen. It's also the only one I've seen in theaters, although that's evident. But I saw it in theaters, so I was kind of interested in it. I like Christoph Waltz well enough. But,
yeah, he's pretty good.
Yeah.
I thought Skyfall was actually quite decent. I've seen a few James Bond movies. Not the ones with Daniel Craig, but the ones with, like, Schmorgy Borgensen. I don't remember his name. But...
Sean Connery?
Sean Connery.
He just died, man.
He did. Oh, yeah.
You can't
he
be
did just
Schmorgy
die.
Borgensen
I'm sorry,
today.
Sean's surviving relatives for Schmorgy Borgensen. Yeah, and also
Pierce Brosnan's
Brosnan.
the only one I've actually seen.
and Halle Berry or whatever.
Yeah, Die Another Day is like the only one I really ever watched.
Diamonds Aren't Enough or something like that, too.
That sounds close to
GoldenEye.
right.
You haven't seen GoldenEye?
GoldenEye
It's-
should be Sean Connery, shouldn't it?
No, that's... Oh, yeah. But I mean the Pierce Brosnan GoldenEye with Sean Bean.
Is he GoldenEye?
Sean Bean.
Sean Beanery.
He is the, nemesis.
I'm not super into James Bond, even though kind of namesake for an author. You don't hear a lot about Ian's. So Ian Fleming is the author of
That's it.
James Bond.
I think you hear a lot about Ian's.
Would you like to name some more?
Ian Holm recently passed away.
Don't know
Bilbo
who that is.
Baggins.
Oh, yeah.
Sir Ian Holm.
Sure. Okay.
I'm very sad about that, actually.
Okay.
Ian McKellen.
Okay.
Gandalf.
Sure.
There's two in Lord of the Rings.
So you got it.
Ian,
If you want to open it to like Ewan's, I can name a couple more.
no, Ian, Jorah Mormont's actor.
Oh, his name is not necessarily Ian.
It's still Ian.
It's
got an extra...
Iain.
Yeah.
So it's Yane. I think he's Welsh, so I could be, I don't know. I'm not really sure, but yeah, maybe that counts. There is, there's always Ian Curtis as well.
Yes, Ian
the
Curtis.
lead singer of the band
Your-
Joy Division,
your
who killed
exact
himself
namesake.
in 1980.
Yeah.
Dude, man,
it's your
hipsters
fate.
get so jacked about that. I'm already older than he was, right?
Was he 23?
Well, I think he was 23.
That's a popular age to kill yourself. Speaking of killing yourself,
Heck yeah.
ooh, I read today on the interwebs, so don't take my word for it.
Well, don't take the interwebs word for it.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not taking my word for it either.
Oh, shit. Let's talk about it then.
Who's taking whose word?
I'm not
for
sure
what?
yet.
So, it was a statistic that was more people killed themselves in Japan
Oh, I saw
than
that.
died of the coronavirus at all ever in Japan.
Mm-hmm. More people in the month of October killed themselves
Yes.
than have died in Japan during the COVID pandemic, period.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, there's...
I think Japan has staggeringly low COVID numbers and
Yeah.
staggeringly, frighteningly high suicide numbers.
But you could probably say, I'm sure, somehow, probably, that coronavirus has caused more suicides, so then in a way that
That's impacted.
they're actually coronavirus deaths. Coronavirus suicide
How did we
deaths.
get here? Because somebody said kill themselves, so now we're...
Oh, yeah. Ian
Oh,
Curtis killed himself
Oh, Ian Curtis killed himself.
on this podcast.
Yeah, oh shit. Oh man, hipsters get so stoked when I tell them my name. Like anytime I have to like check in for a concert or something, there's always one roadie that's like, dude, no fucking way.
How many
But like,
people
how
love Joy
does
Division?
everybody know Joy Division? They aren't very good and are 40 years old.
People love like 80s bands.
But Joy Division mattered for 2 years.
That's the best.
That's the best.
I mean,
I guess Nirvana was about the same.
Sure, yeah, exactly. Like as an artist, there are few better ways to cement your fame than to kill yourself.
And dying early, yeah.
Yeah, or dying in some mysterious way,
Mm.
or like in a tragic
James Dean
car
only made
crash.
3 movies.
I like
I know his name.
what's her face? JFK's secret lover,
Marilyn Monroe.
Marilyn Monroe.
Did
Yeah,
she kill herself?
no, she just died young.
No, okay. Well, she OD'd though, didn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotta have like die at the peak of your fame.
Do you think Anna Nicole Smith? She died the same way Marilyn Monroe died. I think they both OD'd. And like Anna Nicole Smith made a career out of.
ODing.
Yeah, that is true as well. But also out of, I don't want to say impersonating Marilyn Monroe, but like her more famous Playboy shoots were dressed as her girl Marilyn.
Marilyn's ghost just visited me. I had a shake.
I'm trying to think of more famous Ian still.
Ian McDermott. I made that up.
Nah, no. I can like
I think-
we're at more famous Ians than I can think of Wades. So I'm like,
Exactly.
I'll give you a point there, but
There,
still, you
there
gotta
are
celebrate
fictional.
the ones.
There's a fictional famous Wade, that's for sure.
Oops. Wade Boggs. Oh, crushed it.
Wade
Doing so
Wilson.
good. Wade Wilson. He's
Yeah.
so famous.
Yeah, that's the one that I get. And there's Dwayne Wade.
Dwayne Wade. That's true. That doesn't count.
It doesn't.
Yeah, I don't got any more famous
Which,
Wades.
honestly, his mother spelled his name wrong.
Oh, how does he spell his name wrong?
It's Dwayne. The Y is before the A.
Dwayne?
It's
Dwayne?
Dwyane
D-W...
instead of Dwayne.
Oh.
It's Dwayne.
Drian. Is that true?
It is
That's
true.
Wild.
It's like Dwyane, which I think would sound cool if he said it like that.
Kind of cool. I kind of dig Dwyane.
Name your third-born child.
My
Dwyane.
third born? What's my... Oh boy, that's
Whoa.
too many kids.
The first one's got to be
I think anybody that has
Hergity
more than...
Burgity or something like that. Second one has to be Ian Curtis,
Yeah,
reborn.
yeah.
Third one,
I think anybody that has more than 2 children is a horrible narcissist with no consideration for other people.
Wow.
Yeah, sorry.
Wait, you think having children is an act of self
Narcissism, kind of.
In what
Not
way?
necessarily, but having a lot of children is an act of narcissism.
Like you want to just spread your seed.
Uh-huh.
all
Yeah,
over?
if you really think we need that many fucking more of you. Yeah, and that's a little narcissistic.
Yeah.
I think having more people at all is justifiable, so that's why having, like, bring is,
replacing yourself.
Yeah,
by one.
exactly. Bring into this world exactly as many people as you are. So that when you leave, you got some new ones. But doing more than you are is just wrong. It's just wrong.
But it's so right from like the perspective of your DNA. That's what the overlord inside you wants.
Yes, but I hate the overlord inside me.
Okay.
He also wants to, covet my neighbor's wife. That's why we
That's
have to
against the
have
Lord.
these commandments to tell me, don't do that thing that I know you want to do.
Yeah. Just like keep the Sabbath day holy,
Uh-huh.
and to respect your elders.
Oh, yeah.
And to not take the Lord's name in vain.
Never once.
And to not covet your neighbor's wife.
I don't know if
Or
we're
goat.
still in commandments yet. It's
Oh, yes.
ox, I believe, in the commandment.
Ox, yes.
Um,
Which is a great point for all those, Christian feminists that is totally not relating your wife to an object
yeah.
in any way.
The biggest issue I've always had with the 10 Commandments are the first 2, because I think they are just so fucking arrogant.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I am the Lord your God, and you shall have no other gods but me.
Yeah. God is a jealous man. Or
Literally, if you take it at face value, and I show you my 10 Commandments, I am saying with the first 2, I am right, and you are wrong.
Well, you're only wrong if you disagree with me.
Right, correct.
You're
But
super right.
in evangelizing you, in telling you what I'm
Yeah,
about,
yeah,
here are
yeah.
the 10 things, I'm right, you're wrong, probably don't kill people.
Well, that's pretty low. That's not even third.
I'm not, exactly.
It's low on
The
the list.
most important commandments are, I am right,
Yeah.
and you are wrong.
And then keep the Sabbath day holy.
Yeah.
And, no. Actually, I think the third one is, thou shalt not worship false idols or whatever.
I think that's...
Is that included in the second?
I believe that's the second.
Okay. Yeah,
there are different interpretations of each of the commandments, but right. I think the second one is the one against idolatry, which is you shall have no other gods but me. I am right.
Yeah,
you are wrong.
And I love my favorite part. I think about that whole Ten Commandments story is, well, first off, when Moses fucking breaks them and has to go back up the mountain and get them rewritten by God. But better yet is he comes down with this commandment of don't worship false idols, and within the 15 minutes he was gone, or a day, whatever it is, however long it takes a 400-year-old to climb a mountain. His whole tribe, they burnt all their gold jewels, and then they made a golden calf, and they were worshiping it. They couldn't go 15 minutes without worshiping some random object, and then he goes and murders them all.
What?
There's
shit, man. I gotta read more Bible.
He's got the people who are still yeah, we're gonna side with Moses. Moses is the cool guy, and then he's got the other people that he went to the mountain with, and they decide to start worshiping random shit. So then he's like, all my followers, you shall murder all the women and children. Don't spare anybody. Kill them all, and they kill at least 3,000 people.
Which at the time was about all of the people.
And it's great because not only did the people he's murdering, they just immediately got the don't worship false idols. They just fucked that one. But Moses himself is like, fuck the whole don't murder people. I'm going to murder people immediately after receiving this tablet.
For sure. But, it's because they weren't included in the tablet.
And that sums up Christian morals right there for you.
Oh, I know.
Do what you're told unless you don't feel like it.
There's that quote from The West Wing, or that scene from The West Wing that circulates pretty frequently that I've been seeing around a lot lately again.
What is it?
It's a Tumblr posts of many panels of the show, and it starts with a lady saying, I'm not saying that homosexuality is a sin. The Bible says it. And then Martin Sheen's character is like, oh, good. Actually, I wanted to ask you some questions while I had you here. My chief of staff insists I'm working on the Sabbath. Am I morally obliged to kill him myself, or can I have the police do it? And then, does the whole town need to be together to stone my brother for planting 2 different crops next to one another? Just a whole bunch of that shit. And, going back to, I guess I meant to say when I was talking about having been confirmed, because I brought it up because you had asked me what my priest had said to me about some of my concerns. Yeah, about...
As he slipped it in.
No, but my pastor, priest, I don't know the difference. I think
priest is Catholic. Pastor is...
And...
something. Non-Catholic.
I don't know.
Angry man.
I don't know. We had an interim guy because Father O had died. So we had, I don't remember the guy's name, for 3 or 4 years. And he, was around when I was confirmed. So he was the one that was teaching me. And, had I had the old guy, it would have been, I think, a much different experience. But I kind of talked to him about some of my qualms. And he was like, yeah, I don't know. It's like a book of morals, you should just be good. And that mattered a lot to me, I think. Because, that was a priest that's like, yeah, I don't think you need to be so literal about it, you just need to be a good dude. I don't know. I don't see why I gotta show up there every Sunday to do that. I don't see why it matters which religion I am as long as I'm a good dude. How do you know how to be a good dude without the Bible? Conscience. Because I have that little thing inside of me that doesn't like it when other people are sad. And if I do things to make them sad, I feel bad about that. If you listen to the voice, you're doing good. Why do I need a fucking book? I don't. And oh God, I don't know. Just organized religion is wild to me, man. If you look at God as the creator, right? View him as your parents, You should show your parents reverence to some degree. But if you showed up at your parents' house once a week to eat their blood and kiss their feet, I think they'd tell you to do something with your fucking life. I don't think your parents want that sort of worship.
Yeah.
Why would I create you just to have you lick my boots? Go fucking live your life because I gave it to you.
Yeah.
So why in the fuck would God want me to just dedicate myself to him? Imagine dedicating yourself to that degree to your fucking mother. It's weird.
Creepy.
Right. I would say it's not quite as creepy for God because he's not my mommy. But But it's not creepy. I think it's just misguided.
Yeah. If I were God, I would be very disappointed with the huge amount of wasted time and energy that so many people spend worshiping me.
I agree. Again, you should have reverence to some degree, but
it's like if I want my Sims characters to do something interesting.
That's true. That's true. If your Sims characters just spent all their time on their knees thanking you for playing, I wouldn't want to play very much.
I would just like if they every Sunday they go to the temple and just sing about how great I am.
Me, right?
I wouldn't tune in on Sundays anymore.
I think you would once or twice, and then you'd be like, all right, I think I'm...
jack off to it for 160 years, and then finally like, I'm done with this shit.
I just don't see that as a permanent option. It's never made sense to me. And how serious people take it is beyond me.
But I mean, obviously, if God is as jealous as the Bible makes him out to be,
sure,
then of course he wants everybody to spend all of their waking time worshiping him with fervor.
Like the story of Job. I mean, there's a whole South Park episode about it, and I love it because how someone can take that as anything other than just petty jealousy.
Yeah.
I don't understand. I mean, he straight up fucked up with not only one dude's life. He toyed with one dude. He fucked with one dude real bad. He straight up murdered and tortured his family.
And all his slaves.
Yeah, well, that too, but they were already being murdered and tortured.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Yeah, just to prove to his brother, his son even. Lucifer is his fucking son, to prove to his son.
Well, I don't know if that's exactly canonical.
Isn't it?
As far as what's actually put in the King James Bible goes. Or the...
Okay, so technically Jesus is God's only begotten son, but God is the great creator, so he creates. So while, Lucifer might not be necessarily his son technically.
Yeah. It's still, God is responsible for his creation.
Right, Lucifer is an angel. God, I mean, and then God is responsible for all creation, so thereby he must be responsible for demons. But again, Lucifer started as an angel, spent quite a lot of time with God, and then got because of some shit he said. But just to prove to that fucking dude that this guy likes me so much that I could just do everything I could fucking think of.
Yeah.
Burn his village, rape his women, kill his cows. And he'll still worship me because I'm great.
Yeah. Job, I honestly don't understand. Like, you'd have to be significantly already deeply brainwashed or really reliant, I guess it's the same thing, really reliant on what these older people are telling you is true to accept it. But that seems to me one of the best stories in the Bible to make you an atheist. Or at least to make you not a Christian. Because not only is God making a bet with Lucifer, like they're like buddies at the poker table, like in the cosmos, just hanging out, like, watch me fuck this guy Job, and we'll see if he turns to you instead of me. It's like God is on speaking terms with Satan. That seems weird. And then he just destroys his life in every conceivable capacity, and is like, this is a good thing. And look, he still loves me. It's fucked deeply.
I don't understand. And it's the same with, kind of a two-party system as well. You're never going to find anybody in the Republican Party, in the Democratic Party, in the Christian church, in the Buddhist church. You're never going to go find one single other person who agrees with every single thing you think.
Yeah.
And yet you're all committing yourself to the same lifestyle based off of what that guy thinks. I don't get that. Y'all can still believe a lot of the same shit, and I get that there's a community to it and that's important to a lot of people, but why is it gotta be about that? You
can form,
and even if it is about that, why you gotta make it so fucking personal? Why y'all groups gotta hate each other so goddamn much just because all any of you really wanted was some fucking community, was a sense of purpose or belonging? Why you gotta try and take that away from someone else?
It seems almost like it's unavoidable. You can't really form a common identity without forming a common enemy.
Yeah, I guess that sort of makes sense. But
it's almost like your love of something is defined by your hatred of something else.
Yeah, I see that. Shouldn't be.
I mean, they could probably choose better things to hate.
Yeah.
Or, reduce it a little bit.
I don't know, I'm not someone that necessarily thinks that hate is, always bad. You should hate some stuff. More informed, for sure. Less baselessly. Yeah. I think a lot of people don't realize that I think the three most popular religions in the world, I actually think Buddhism is number 3. But Christianity, Islam, and Judaism all worship the same God.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't think they would think that.
But it's true. Like, it's irrefutable.
I mean, God historically, yeah. But, if you think of God as a concept, I don't think they worship the same concept.
What do you mean?
I don't know. I think there's a interesting and not mystical at all way of seeing God as like whatever your highest value is.
Mm-hmm.
There's a speech by David Foster Wallace called "This Is Water" where he talks about it, and it's interesting. But, like, everybody has a God, even if you don't have a God, you still have a God. Like,
Right.
for instance, my God might be the like truth.
Right.
So whatever highest ideal people are worshiping, maybe like they're gonna put their God in terms of Allah or the Bible, but there's still like a unifying concept that maybe Christianity has or that Islam has, and I don't think those concepts are the same.
I think I would argue that while that may be the case, I think that there would then still be dissonance within the religion itself. I think that's sort of my point.
Yeah,
like, I think even within Christianity in and of itself.
Yeah, Christianity, it masquerades as one religion, but it's like 700.
Well, and that was my point earlier, that I don't know the difference between a Presbyterian and an Episcopalian. But even still, even within just the Episcopal Church, if it is, you're looking at God as your highest value, I don't think that even the people in that room all share the same highest values.
Yeah, that's true.
So in that regard, I guess you're technically right, but that's not necessarily a difference of religion problem so much as it is a difference of values problem.
Yeah.
But from, I guess, a broad concept point, like if you look at religion as any sort of history, Yahweh, Allah, and God and I hate that we just call it God, because Allah and Yahweh both mean God, and Judaism worships the Old Testament, and we do both Old and New. I shouldn't say we because I'm not part of any fucking religion.
Yeah, I certainly don't.
Huh?
I certainly don't.
Yeah, no. But I believe Christianity is, both the Old and New Testament, and Judaism is just the Old Testament, and that the Quran is, basically a teaching of the same stuff. Aren't they isn't Abraham their dude? But like Muhammad, obviously, but aren't they all children of Abraham?
Yeah, it all comes back from Abraham, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think even the Quran uses the Bible.
Uh-huh.
And like they view Jesus as a prophet.
Do they? That I didn't know. Because I thought that was the difference in Judaism and Christianity, is the degree to which we think Jesus was our savior.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, neither Islam or Judaism think Jesus was the Messiah.
Okay.
He did not come to save the world.
Sure. I suppose that is an important delineation.
But Islam views Jesus as like an important...
Yeah. But they're different.
Like holy dude.
Different perspectives on the same story.
Yeah.
And with Judaism and Christianity are pretty literally just the same story, with differences, but still. And
then if you trace it even farther back before the religion, Yahweh is kind of a mixture of a few gods, but the god that took over, he was the main god of like the people who lived in that area before the Bible was written. He was a storm god. He was like Zeus, which is why in the Old Testament he's so wrathful and he's so capricious, because storm gods often are. Like Zeus is fucking things up all the time in Greek mythology. Like, he is the most temperamental god.
Oh, I love Greek mythology so much.
And Thor is really temperamental. Like, he just does whatever the fuck he wants to.
Right.
So these storm gods, they're just kind of vicious and dicks, which is what you see in personality traits of Yahweh.
Yeah, I don't like the term God-fearing at all, because I just don't think that's the relationship that one ought to have with the being they hold in the highest regard. If I, again, go back to the analogy of my parents being God, if my mother was the most important thing in the world to me, why should I be afraid of her? That would be insane. I should be fearful of maybe what she might think of me were I to act poorly, I suppose, and maybe that's what they're going for. But I do not fear the wrath of my mother. Yeah. I just fear disappointing her. It's not the same. That's not real fear, I don't necessarily think religion in and of itself is a bad thing.
I think I do, but...
why? It's the organization of religion that I think is bad,
I think it's...
the commodification.
Without the organization, it's still the ignorance.
Sure.
It's still the wishful thinking. And
I don't think wishful thinking can be considered a bad thing.
Just believing in things that aren't true, or at least not provably true, and with such conviction, especially, I think is not especially good. It's kind of like being detached from the real world, and especially if you believe in these things strongly, you're harder to convince of the truth when it is found out. And this wishful thinking, especially in such a selfish way, it's very narcissistic. It's like believing that you have a soul, believing that you are eternal or immortal. It's, I don't know, it's like, why are you so important? Why do you think so highly of yourself that you need to live for the entirety of the universe?
So, I think the problem with that is the assumption that I think only I am immortal, right? I don't, but like,
Well,
that's
okay.
what I'm saying. Like, if I think I have a soul, I think you have one too.
Yeah.
Right. So, and even if I think you're not using that soul correctly,
Yeah.
I mean, you still possess one. Right. So I don't think it's necessarily terribly narcissistic to believe at least that. I agree with the idea that, believing in something so wholeheartedly makes it difficult to convince you of things otherwise, even when it's now provable. But I think on the flip side of that, if no one ever believed in something they couldn't prove, then we'd never learn anything necessarily. Like, you wouldn't ever know to look for anything if you didn't have a thought that
You
maybe
can have
something could
hunches,
be true.
you can have inclinations, and
Sure.
that can lead you to do things.
Sure.
But having certainties...
I agree that, yeah, there's certainly anything that anyone believes should be done with a grain of salt, but I also think that just not believing in anything until I can prove it isn't necessarily the right way to go about it either. I think to have inklings, to have hunches, to have ideas is okay, but live life as though my inklings are truth is narcissistic, yes.
And I mean, might not be exactly narcissistic to think that everybody has a soul, but often I think the motivation for believing that is because it's a self-comfort.
Yeah.
You're afraid of dying.
Yes.
You're thinking about it from the terms of your own experience. Like, it makes it applicable to everyone, and everyone can be on board with religion. You have to tell everyone they have a soul. You can't say only Marcus has a soul, just to make Marcus happy, because then Marcus's neighbor is going to be like, what about me? So everyone has a soul. But I feel like the people's reason for believing it isn't like, oh, it's all of us. And then even in that case, it's only humans. It's very like a limited sense of the universe. It's like this planet, this solar system, this galaxy, this life form on this planet is the one that God cares about. So then thinking that the universe cares especially about you is deranged, I think.
I think, yes. I mean, yeah, to think that God is ever just looking at me right now is probably wrong. But I am curious to know what if pressed, a religious person would say if I asked them, where do praying mantis go when they die? Do they just cease existing? Do they have souls? I don't know. I don't think anything I would say that I believe has to do with the soul so much as just kind of the transfer of conscious energy, Like, I don't know. I don't think that I really believe that energy ever actually dies, and whether that means my consciousness lives on or is simply turned into something else, I guess I don't know. But all things are eternal, Matter can't be created or destroyed. So you get 21 grams lighter when you die. Something happens.
I mean, air leaves your body.
Yeah. I'm just being an ass. I don't think. But I don't know. I don't know. I think there's too much that is just not possible to really understand. Certainly not within our lifetimes, at the very least.
I don't know if it's true to say that matter can't be destroyed.
Yes, it is. It's like a law of chemistry. It can't be created or destroyed. It can only be changed.
Because
it's the law of equivalent exchange.
But I mean, like, black holes suck in matter.
Sure. What happens then? I don't know.
Yeah, we don't know.
Exactly. So you can't say it.
Yeah. Can you say the reverse though?
No. But you can't use something that you can't use lack of evidence to disprove a point.
No, I mean, you can. It's not like lack of. It's like you're using uncertainty to put it on both sides.
What?
You're saying like matter seems to be sucked into black holes unescapably, and also like if you look at the long timeline of the future of the universe, there's a time when even black holes fizzle out of existence.
But is a black hole matter, I guess? Which, granted, then, yeah, consciousness would be sort of the same question. But again, like, I don't know, to use only black holes to say that matter can, in fact, be destroyed, I guess maybe it can with a black hole. But other than that, matter can't be created or destroyed. It can only be changed.
Yeah, so like on the time scale of the entire universe, it goes away.
Sure. I guess, yeah.
Like, you've got all the stars exploding, all the planets are gone, all the black holes are fizzling out.
But a star explodes and elements go other places.
Sure. Yeah. I'm just saying, like...
So save for the example of black hole, which sure fine is maybe inevitable. In all things, though, only stars create black holes. Which, may well end up sucking in all... I don't know, I guess.
Everything else?
Potentially, yeah. But I don't know necessarily what that means.
Yeah.
Exactly, so...
Yeah, so then you can't say that you, like, know that it means...
I don't think I said I know that it means anything. I said I maybe think that it means some stuff. These are my inklings.
Right. You say it can't be destroyed.
Well, true. Again, fine. Save for the caveat of black hole.
Okay.
Matter cannot be created or destroyed.
And matter actually is destroyed all the time with matter and antimatter particles annihilating each other off in deep space. They spontaneously appear, but they almost always, especially in this era of the universe, have an accompanying antimatter particle, and then they meet each other, and then they explode and die and go away back into nothingness.
That's a weird anomaly. There's some weird anomalies in space.
Yeah, a lot of weird stuff going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like mystical attitudes, religious belief, even if it's not an organized religion, I don't think it is conducive to having a reality-based worldview.
Sure. Right, yeah, I would agree with that. I don't know. I guess now I'm questioning if antimatter particles spontaneously appear. From where? How? From what? Who's to say they don't come from a different dimension? Maybe that's the matter that's being compressed from black holes coming into now.
It could be.
It could be, sure.
That'd be interesting.
So I don't know. I don't think I accept any of that as a refute to my point.
I think it's just casting doubt on the idea of saying that matter can't be.
I'm cool with doubt. That's fine.
Yeah.
But I'm not. Yeah, I'm gonna keep it as a
totally.
as a theory
Like black holes could be sucking matter and going to other dimensions,
right? Or
even other places in space that could be wormholes.
Right. I am far from saying that my theory that consciousness cannot be destroyed nor created is a fact or even close to true. But it's an inkling, and I am not capable of creating or destroying matter. Therefore, maybe neither is death. I don't know.
Okay, let's say that even did happen. If this consciousness lives on, how would that even?
I have no idea.
Wouldn't that pose the same issue as heaven did for you as a young boy?
Why?
Of running out of space?
Why?
Are you saying your consciousness is tied to matter or energy?
Yeah. And
there's a finite amount of energy in the universe?
Yes.
So there would be a finite amount of consciousness.
Sure.
So then if you die and your body goes out onto the earth, more humans are born. Humans keep getting born, and maybe non-humans too, whatever.
Okay.
And more consciousnesses arise. Sure. Is there a max limit on the amount of consciousness that can happen? Like, does your consciousness get recycled into somebody else's? Is it,
Yeah, that's sort of my theory.
Okay. And
okay, I don't know if you wanted me to really paint a picture of what I want to be true. It's not necessarily what I think is true, but it's what I want to be true. Is that kind of when I die, got all these consciousness particles, right? I'm gonna say it as dumb as I can because it's gonna sound pretty dumb, but you got all these consciousness particles, right? And they're gonna go back to that big old well of consciousness in the sky, and then they're gonna get kind of randomly doled back out, and that's why people are kind of different. You know, that we all kind of come from the same collective. I don't know. You once said that you think life is just the universe getting to know itself.
Yeah.
Why can't consciousness be the energy with which it powers that?
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know if
I know that's not what you meant, but I'm just saying, this is, again, far from something I hold as a sincere belief. It's something that I kind of want to be true, and therefore I'm going to think it some more.
Couldn't all people be different from each other and yet share those similarities simply based off of
our... All people could be fucking purple and I would have no goddamn idea. I'm just saying.
I mean, something more plausible, but rather than these consciousness particles getting bleeped into humans or whatever the case actually is that you're saying, just that humans have biological flesh and brains that create their minds, and they have DNA that is mostly the same but slightly different from each other.
Right.
And they have different environments that they live in.
Sure.
And these things.
Oh, I actually think people are different because of the different ways that they're raised. Again, this is the most mystical I could speak on the topic.
Right. So I think often with mysticism, it doesn't actually serve any purpose. You don't need the mysticism.
No, I think you're probably right.
Because
I used it for simplicity of explanation, but yeah.
Right. Yeah, but you can explain the thing. Like, you don't need astrology to explain human behavior. No. You don't need God to explain the universe.
Sure. Right.
In fact, God does the opposite of explaining the universe. Right. He begs for another explanation.
Yeah.
So I feel like it actually doesn't serve any purpose aside from self-delusion, which I can admit is a very alluring and strong purpose. People often, maybe even in some circumstances, need to delude themselves. If you're a Nazi, you need to feel like you're a good person, even though you just were complicit in the Nazi regime, and now your granddaughter thinks you're amazing. You probably do believe you're a good person, and it's a delusion.
I think religion is just kind of always going to be. I don't see the wishful thinking as a bad thing. I understand the narcissism and sort of the attitude of, being owed something, I suppose, that I am, therefore I deserve, is sort of dangerous, But ultimately, I just kind of think whatever it takes not to be scared of dying,
Yeah, I think that's one of the purposes it serves, along with the community, like you were saying before.
Well, and because religions really always serve the purpose of explaining the unexplainable. And at this point, I mean, that's why there were gods of Greek mythology, even, which is not crazy, crazy old, but is still at this point pretty crazy old, has a god for absolutely fucking everything.
Yeah.
All things. I just read about, I don't even remember, I was looking at a list of Greek gods, and one of them is like, I want to say it's the god of wedding celebration. Like, just down to fucking... like, every single thing had to have a god, because I don't know why that happens.
Yeah.
How come the wind? Because Typhon.
It's honestly the same with Catholicism, too. They don't call them
That's
gods.
what I'm saying.
But there's saints for every single fucking thing.
Well, sort of, yeah. I mean, I guess there are still, to some degree, those. But really, at this point, with where we are, scientifically, the only thing we really can't explain anymore is death. So that's really the only the purpose religion serves at this point.
But yeah, like what you're saying with explaining the unexplainable, that's one of the problems. Like the fundamental ignorance that's actually like looked up to in a religious mind.
Sure.
Is like you're assuming things are fundamentally unexplainable to such a degree that when an explanation comes along, you reject it.
Sure.
At least, I mean, if you're especially bad, hopefully you're a person who would actually...
I do not disagree at all. But again...
It's the God of the gaps, where like you have gaps in science and you have gaps in our understanding, so you fill it in with God, and then a few years pass and you realize this gap is getting filled up with actual knowledge of how the world works.
Right.
And eventually you find God doesn't fit anywhere. There are no gaps to be filled with God.
Well, I think there's one. I don't want to fill it with God. But
you think the death gap will forever just be because obviously
I don't know if I can say forever. I think perhaps there will come a day where we do understand it, but certainly for the foreseeable future, yeah.
What is it that we don't understand about death? Just what happens to our own experience?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, don't we have a pretty good explanation as nothing? You just are dead.
I don't know. Maybe. I think for a lot of people, yeah, it's a willingness to accept that they're not altogether that important in the grand scheme of things, but I just don't see, personally, how one can then just make a pile of meat alive. There's just something more than that.
Like a divine spark?
Yeah. If you want to call it that, sure.
Like the process of evolution, You've got
what?
Millions
Did we start with dead meat that turned alive?
No,
what was that?
You didn't start with meat.
I know. This is protozoa and amoeba.
Right. It's a problem with the human mind. We categorize things. We put things into this is a chicken, this is not a chicken. When really the chicken is arbitrary. Like it's a spectrum. We say this is life, this is not life. So this moment is not going from not life to life. It's not going from inorganic material to all of a sudden we have something that's alive. You know? There's a spectrum that if we looked at it, it would be unrecognizable. We couldn't pick out which one is life and which one's not. So we got these amoeba, protozoa, your single cell, like RNA.
Right.
The first replicators.
Right.
They are, from our perspective, not alive.
I don't think I feel that way. That's what I'm saying. Like, where did the jump to organic material
There's no jump,
How?
It's like, well, I guess right now the theory is the primordial soup. The ocean is basically a thick goo where chemical reactions are happening because of sunlight in the goop of carbon and water and all that. And then you've got things that because of heat and because of decomposition, they become other things. And then after a long enough time, those other things have the ability to move.
I don't know. Sure. I don't know how I feel about that. I certainly am not going to refute it, because how? But I don't know. I just it's a capability to just accept that, yeah, one day carbon became alive.
Yeah. Is it the very first step, or maybe slope, I guess, but step of non-life to life for you in that's like the struggle, or is it the human thing? Do you think a jellyfish has that divine spark that's
That's why I don't want to call it a divine spark.
Whatever, yeah. Like, do jellyfish? Are you concerned of the jellyfish after?
I don't know. Just perhaps consciousness and life force aren't necessarily the same thing, but neither of them seem to have been. I just think there's another object at play there, man. That there's just, it doesn't seem impossible to me. That
does it seem less or more likely than the explanation I gave?
I have no idea. That's my kind of whole point here. I don't know. I don't know. We don't greatly understand gravity. That's like another external force we don't get. Time, also one we don't really understand.
Well, I mean, gravity isn't real.
Okay. What?
It's gravity is an illusion, basically.
What does that mean?
Like Earth that we're on is moving through space.
Uh-huh.
So when you are detached from the ground, you're actually not moving. Earth is coming to you. When you're in free fall, that is the only time you're actually not moving from the perspective of the universe. Like you are stationary in space.
Right.
So gravity is just...
So the Earth can't... What? The Earth can't be moving in all directions at once.
No, it's not.
But then how can the Earth be coming to me? I kind of understand what you're saying, that the point is more inertia than it really is another occupying force.
I guess the better way to explain it is that things with mass bend space-time. So that you've got a space-time, like, kind of funnel around...
So I guess I'll amend my statement from saying we don't understand gravity to our understanding of gravity involves the bending of space-time?
Yeah.
So, I don't know, maybe why doesn't life? You know? Like, that's sort of what I'm saying. I don't know. I don't know. It's just not something I'm willing to say we understand yet. Because, again, even you've said the theory is primordial soup.
Well,
which is fine.
Theory is a strong word. And I mean that in a good way. Like, it is a strong...
How could you mean that in a good way?
Like, it's like a forceful... Like, it's... Theory is a high point in science. Like, the theory of evolution. It's a combination of facts. It's not a guess, you know?
Well, maybe contextually, I guess. But, I mean, pretty literally, it means a guess.
Well, it's not a blind guess. And, I mean, there's a different definition.
It's a guess based off of some observation. But so is mine.
But you don't...
Less, but fine.
Yeah.
But I could just as quantifiably call it a theory.
I mean, it wouldn't be a scientific theory. It would just be...
Why? Well, okay, fine. But you're right, because it's not based in science. But or is it? I don't know. Magic is just science we don't yet understand.
I mean, sure.
I mean, you know? Or it's wrong. But, like, yeah, it's one of the two.
Yeah, I mean, but a wild guess that happens to be right isn't really science.
Right.
You have to back it up with evidence and, and facts.
Right. Which is why it's not, again, a very sincerely held belief I have. It's just what I would like for it to be true. I'm not going to refute your opinion on this because it's less of an opinion than mine. Yeah. And I hesitate to even call it an opinion. It's just, again, my idealist look at the universe. Yeah. It's not something I sincerely believe in any way, shape, or form, but if I wanted something to be true, it would be that.
Yeah. I mean, mysticism and, like, ideas of religion or supernatural or, like, things that are out there and wild are more exciting and interesting of a worldview. But I think the one that's the most plausible is the materialist one, that there isn't some supernatural extra consciousness dimension that exists out there that we're just borrowing it from. Just that, you know, brains create working models of the world. And after enough time, they get to such a complexity that we start dreaming up that we're more grand than we actually are.
I think that's a bold statement, saying that our brains are so complex that they're not as complex as we think they are.
Right. Kind of strange. They're so complex, they overestimate their own complexity.
But I don't think that's true. I think we're underestimating the complexity of my mind. I think we're maybe overestimating the grand scheming importance of my mind.
Overestimating the source or the why. Maybe not. Maybe underestimating the actual
the tremendous intricacy of mind.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah. No, I think people constantly take shit like that for granted.
Yeah.
How just absolutely batshit insane amazing every single thing in the whole fucking world is.
Yeah.
All the time is crazy that anything exists ever, and a lot of things exist all the time forever. So I just think, I don't know, it's just wild. It's so crazy, and I think no one thinks about it all the time. I think about it all the time. Everything's amazing all the time. Why does anyone sleep? Look at things. Things are around you all the time, and they're all amazing.
Didn't you say that you had a problem with infinity, though, before? So if, you know, you're saying...
The problem with my problem with infinity is less that it's going to go on forever so much as it is that it at one point had to begin.
Yeah.
For infinity to have begun is impossible. That doesn't make any sense. But it had to have. But it can't. But it had to.
Well, no, it didn't have to. If it's really infinity, then there is no start.
Right. But how does that make any sense?
It doesn't.
Exactly. So you see my problem? I agree with what you've said. And I've talked to Steve about this once, and he's like, well, just don't think about it. And I'm like, that's not... He's like, you just have to accept that it didn't begin. But I'm like, but it did, because it had to, because time. Yeah. That's how time is. Well, there was a start.
I don't know. I think time might be an illusion as well. as gravity.
Well, I mean, yeah. Well, but no. Our perception of time is an illusion, but time certainly exists.
Why?
Why? Because things happen. Words have left my mouth, therefore time has passed. What? Again, our perception of time is an illusion, but like worlds start and end. Time happened. There was time between those spaces. Again, an ant perceives how much time Jupiter has existed much different than I do.
Right.
But
I guess I mean the like directionality of time, you know?
No, I don't. What do you mean?
Yeah, time passes from my words hitting your face.
Mm.
But the fact that it happened in that order and rather than both ways at the same time.
That's another thing
reversible.
that I actually do believe, yeah. If you, do you know Watchmen? Have you seen Watchmen, read the book at all?
Not seen it, actually. I've heard you talk about it.
Dr. Manhattan is an omnipotent, omniscient being who is able to experience time as it is, apparently, which is to say that all time is occurring all at once forever, and he can just sort of step sideways through it. Yeah. Which is something that I think maybe is true. Isn't that kind of sort of what string theory is? I don't really know. That may well be the case, yes. However, that still means time exists. It's just not how we perceive it to be, which is certainly the case. I will say that with absolute certainty that I do not perceive time as it is, but it exists. It absolutely does. Things happened.
Yeah, I guess that would be still time, I suppose.
Yeah. No, and that's another operating force of the universe that we absolutely do not understand, and perhaps do not have the capacity to understand. Yet, at the very least. You ever seen Interstellar? That's another good example of that.
No, I should, though.
Okay, well, I won't talk about it then, because the way that it's similar spoils the whole movie, so... But, no, that's something I genuinely kind of think. Yeah, all time's happening, kind of now.
That's what a lot of people think, like fiction writers and people like that.
Oh, well, okay. I was hoping somebody more credible would wind up on the list, but...
No, maybe, but I feel like there's a lot of stories about that.
Yeah. I don't know, there's also, like, the multiverse theory like they do in Rick and Morty and stuff, that, there's just an unfathomable number of
parallel worlds.
Yeah. Futurama more or less does the same thing as well, that time just sort of loops.
Yeah, Jeremy Bearimy.
Sort of. Jeremy Bearimy's a little different than Futurama. Futurama's a circle. Jeremy Bearimy's a... Jeremy Bearimy. I don't know. I thought that, the end of that show was a thinker. I didn't like it.
Why didn't you like it? The Good Place.
Because it was exactly my problem with Christianity.
What?
That our time in heaven must end.
Oh, no, but it solved... I mean, it didn't solve it, but it actually presents that as an option, though.
Right, exactly.
Which wouldn't that be good, as opposed to Christianity, which is saying you're here forever?
I don't see it myself as having that problem necessarily.
Which problem?
Of getting bored in heaven.
Oh, you think you would never...
No.
Never quit heaven?
Nope. How could you?
I mean, there's an infinite...
Amount of time?
There's
also an infinite amount of possibilities.
Are there, though?
Yes. Yep. As long as there is time, things will be different. As time passes, things change. New elements create. Things happen.
And also, like, how much of your joy of life and worthwhileness is coming from other people? So if you lived in a... Oh, I mean, spoilers already for The Good Place. Season 4. But if you lived in a heaven where people were free to leave, and then they did leave, I mean, these people are coming from Earth, and presumably that's going to die at some point, and humanity is going to go extinct. So you're going to have a stopping point of newcomers to heaven. And presumably people will become interested, at least some of them, in leaving heaven, to which they don't come back. So you've got the capacity of, or the population of heaven is always getting smaller. So even if you choose to live for eternity, it'll get smaller and smaller to the point where you don't really have anybody to spend your time with. And then when you're alone in the universe, aside from, I guess, some demons, is it worthwhile to stay?
Personally, yeah. I think so. I don't think that there could really become a time that I feel so tormented by life.
I mean, I guess not tormented. The way they put it in the show is like...
Bored.
Well, not even bored. Well, not even bored. Like, you feel, like, complete. You feel satisfied.
I don't think that was... I mean, yeah, inevitably, once it was presented as an option, that is when people chose to go through. But when it was not an option, fucking...
Yeah.
Phoebe was not... didn't feel so complete anymore. She felt tired.
Right, and ultimately
dull.
the whole point was a non-religious one and a non-heaven one, where your meaning of life comes from the fact that it is temporary.
Yeah.
Do you think that's not true then?
No, I don't. I guess I don't see why it would be. That things only mean things if they end. All things end, so I guess that means everything means something, and eventually, I don't know. There will always be an end to all things.
I mean, I suppose in the case of the good place, it seems like. I mean, maybe heaven's going to end whether you choose to leave it or not, but
yeah,
it seemed like it wouldn't. It's
I
just
mean,
gonna go
they
on
had
forever.
like the good place, which
Yeah,
sort
the
of
good
ended.
place.
The bad places sort of ended. They're different, but like as
Yeah,
as
they
it
became
was,
some.
it's different.
Yeah, they became something new.
Sure. But like with different criteria and stuff's getting moved around and
So it's like a change, but not a
yeah.
death.
Yeah. Plus, they were like able to, Michael could be absolutely destroyed, which would, shatter his consciousness as far as we were aware. Rip him apart and put him on different boiling lava planets or whatever the fuck they said they were going to do. Seems like he wasn't going to be so alive after that. Or so dead. I don't know. So good place after that. I don't know. I don't know. Everything's temporary, I guess. But is it? I don't know. I hate this. I'll never not hate it. I just... No, it's never not going to bother me. It just messes with my head so much. But no, I don't know. I've always sided with, you watch a vampire movie and they're like, do you really want to live forever? And I'm like,
Right, I would want to live forever
yeah.
if I have the option to stop. In some situation where I can't get off the ride, then I don't think I would sign up for it.
Yeah, but the ride, again, eventually comes to an end.
But end there, like, I would imagine it's like actually finality rather than a change. Rather than it becoming a different ride. It becomes nothingness.
But if they were, I guess my point is if they were capable of changing, then they were probably also capable of ending. If giving them the option to end it was possible, then the end was inevitable regardless. It was long and much longer than a lot of those people seem to have wanted, but it would have come. Had to.
So you're saying that you're going to stay in the universe until it forces your dead.
That's why this whole well of
hands
consciousness thing makes
off
more
of life.
sense to me than simply just...
Is it sense or is it just wishful thinking?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, you're right. But it makes more sense to me in my wishful thinking. Of all the things that I could wishfully think, this one seems to be most plausible. Perhaps still less so than the things you've said. But anytime I think of one of those questions, this one kind of plugs the hole. There's mysticism about it. I agree.
The god of the gaps.
Yeah. Yes, but I'm like addressing the gaps. And as soon as the gaps change, then God shall leave them. God's not in them. Like, I don't know, faith is in them, I guess. Not even. Hope.
Yeah.
It's not really even... That's the thing. I don't have any sort of faith in mysticism or in God or really in the universe. I just have hope of how things could be. How I'd like them to be. And inevitably, if I really had to genuinely think one thing, I guess I would say I think heaven is real, but I think people misinterpret it. What people see, that white light, that sense of joy, is just your brain. I don't know, I read something once that could be overtly and pathetically philosophical, but, how many times can you divide a second?
Infinite.
Yeah.
Yeah, so your
last
infinite
moment
is subjective.
Right, so your last dying moment is forever. Yeah. So if you feel peace in that moment, that's your heaven. If you feel regret or hatred or whatever in that moment, that's your hell. But it's still an eternity, is what, as time is an illusion, and it's an illusion that you can bend.
That's what I was going to say about the time thing, if it's real, because you were saying if you speak and it reaches me, and that's time.
Right.
But then, you can divide any one of those seconds infinitely.
Yeah. Right.
So you could live in a second forever, and you wouldn't notice the passing of time.
So in reality, that's genuinely what I think heaven and hell are. Is just where you're at when you die.
Yeah. I mean, I do like that idea, although I think maybe a even more plausible or realistic idea of heaven or hell is simply your life right now and how you're living it.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you, hopefully anyway, or at least one would hope, generally speaking, that if you are a horrible person, that you will feel it, I guess. It's obviously probably not true, but...
I don't know that I would say that necessarily.
That it's not true? That you wouldn't say that?
Turn that around. No, I don't. I guess I would. No, I don't think I would say that that's inherently true. That bad people sociopaths will die without remorse.
Yeah.
But I think as your life comes to an end, when no one's around you in your dying moments, regardless of how you feel about the murders you did. Personally, I think you still will have remorse. Your hell won't necessarily be of the making of murder, you know. You won't be tortured necessarily by the murders what you did.
Yeah.
But you'll be tortured by the murders that you did, I guess, by the result of them.
Yeah, it's a self-torture.
Well, it is. That's my whole point, is that
Yeah.
any of this is self-torture or self-promotion, you know?
Yeah.
So.
That's what the Buddhists say, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
All suffering is in your mind. It's all self-caused. Life is suffering. But
See, because that's why I'm confused, because that's the thing I knew that Buddhists said, is that life is suffering, but if all suffering is caused in your mind, then all life is in my mind.
Well, life is suffering, but you're responsible for... I mean, obviously, all life is interpreted through your brain, and any suffering that is there is because of you. And humans are self-doubt, self-hatred machines, so...
I don't know, I just don't think it's possible for your brain to conceive its ending, you know?
Right.
Like, I don't remember who it is, but there is a comedian I've seen that has a joke about how you never get to think. I think it's Louis. He says you never say, "Oh, this is it." Like, you never get to say, "That's it. That was the last thought.
Yeah.
This is the one." Because, yeah, your brain is not capable of perceiving its ending. So your last moments shall be your eternity.
I mean, you could say, like, "Oh, I'm gonna die," and then you die right after that.
Right.
But yeah, you couldn't, after the
But you don't
fact,
get to
say,
say,
that was
it.
it. Yeah.
Yep. I think that's a Louis joke. But either way, that's sort of, in reality, what I think heaven and hell are. I think they are real, but they are of our making.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, and, like, I can say, I think that's the most plausible scenario is that when you die, you are just nothingness, the same as before you were born.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, that is probably impossible for me to actually understand, like, what that would feel like, because it wouldn't feel.
Right.
But so it's like, there's a difference between knowing that that's probably the case and actually fully understanding what that means.
So I guess my point earlier of matter cannot be created or destroyed is that you weren't nothingness before you were born.
Yeah.
You were
you
different shit, but you weren't nothing. And you shall become different shit.
Right.
All of which could potentially become conscious. Right? Not necessarily, well, I guess inevitably, yeah, if that's, we started from the primordial ooze, then who's to say the tree next door isn't going to grow fucking legs in 7,000 years?
Oh, I mean.
And I could be part of that fucking tree. So that's, again,
then
Well of Consciousness was a really, again, intentionally simple, mystical way of explaining what I mean.
Yeah, this is like panpsychism.
Yeah.
In your idea of it, if you were part of that tree, would your conscious experience, like, would yourself right now be found in that tree? Like, would you have a stream of consciousness that is partially retrieved there?
That's sort of what I meant by the, little consciousness mites get put into other people, is that not all of me is going to become that tree, thereby not all of me would be that tree. Right? But I'm not going to be the sole governing factor behind the tree, nor shall I necessarily have my memories, but that's not necessarily to say that consciousness has not been passed from me to the tree. Again, hardly backed by any... Well, okay, I could say that's backed by science, because that shit is gonna fucking happen. I'm gonna become some other stuff.
As the material elements of it, it'll
so
become
that's
something else.
Again, that's a broader way of looking at the mystical shit I said before.
Yeah. The panpsychism is basically where every single atom has a minute amount of consciousness in it, and then when you form more quote unquote complex things with it, like a human brain, it experiences itself, but it's still there and everything else.
I personally wouldn't say that I think every atom has consciousness in it so much as if primordial ooze were to be true, then every single atom has the capacity for consciousness.
Right.
So it's not necessarily that, again, mites of my brain are going to be stored in this little bit of oxygen, what was once inside me, so much as it is, I don't know, it's a give and take,
Right. I mean, so in that way, I think if the material particles that constitute your body, when you die, they decay and then they spread around on the world, and then they become other living creatures that have their own consciousness. I think you could only say that your consciousness passed on to them in a metaphorical sense, and not even in any sort of real sense. Like, yeah, right. Like atom that's right now in your brain
Mm-hmm.
will later be in the brain of a
Mhm.
3-year-old monkey.
Mhm.
That doesn't, I don't think, mean the consciousness is in any way linked. Even if it's like a fraction,
Sure.
I don't think that would mean that monkey will now have 1/1,000,000% of your personality or your identity. It won't have like a little part of Ian
think
Curtis.
It will have 1/1,000,000% of my identity because it's got 1/1,000,000% of what I am.
Yeah, identity. I mean, in like a psychological way. Like,
Right.
It'll have your material identity.
Sure.
It's not like, oh, this person is acting in a certain way because inside their brain they've got the particles of past humans
Mm-hmm.
who have acted in similar ways, kind of thing. Like if the consciousness would be recreated anew because of the brain.
Sure.
That's what I would say about that.
Mm.
And I mean, really, if these pieces of you, material particles that are actually making up your brain or the rest of your body, you're shedding off your body. Like, I think it's like every 8 years you replace every single cell in your body.
Mm-hmm.
So like you would be constantly just becoming one with the universe and it becoming you, which I mean in a way is literally true, but I don't think it's true in the way that some people mean it in a mystic sense.
Mm-hmm. And I guess that's why I put any degree of stock in this at all, is because it gets to be as kind of as mystical as I really want it to be. In reality, yeah, you're absolutely right. And certainly if pressed, I would only actually say I truly believe the parts of it that are, inherently true. Like, as you said, the material parts of me that will one day become something else. That is going to happen, whether or not that has 1/1,000,000% of me in it. The mystical part of me wants to say, sure. The realist part of me says, probably fucking not. But again, if I had to hope how things are, it's an extension of how I know things are, I guess, which is why I guess you could call it religion. I don't want to, but it's kind of hitting a lot of the same points, but it's just more grounded in reality, I guess. I don't know. There's still some
if it's
non-realistic
religion,
parts to it.
New Age and watered down.
Yes, absolutely, and I think that's how religion shall trend forever.
Right, and
religion is, even Catholicism is New Age and watered down compared to fucking, ancient African Dadaism and shit. Like, all of that stuff is old school, and now we've got new school Christianity, which is still way out fucking dated. So we're just, again, as we fill the God gaps, it will become more watered down.
Right, and which is why I think that there is hope for the future humans, that there will be a world without religion someday. Because, 3,000 years ago we had polytheism that morphed into monotheism, and now we're having even like warped down, like not even quite a god. It's like a pantheistic god that you're kind of thinking of. And then it's like, go one step further, there's no god at all,
I think there's a lot of steps in between there, here and there.
Sure, yeah. But I just mean,
I'm already saying, I guess
there's like this trajectory of losing God along the way.
Sure, because I would argue that anything I think is absent of one unifying force necessarily. But well, okay, yeah, I guess I would say that's probably.
So I mean, maybe like what you were saying before, maybe you think that we will never get to a point where we are 100% without that God. Idea.
I think you're right. I think we will at one point be without God, but I don't think we will ever be without religion.
Like just some sort of mysticism, I guess.
Sure.
Yeah, but I think like a world where you were 99% there with like God is so watered down that it's 99% gone. I feel like that's already, you can consider that an atheist world.
Yeah. Well,
and I mean 99%, not like 1% of the population is fervently fundamentalist Christian. I just mean like everybody's conception of what whatever quote unquote God is watered down by 99%.
But I think as religion becomes outdated, atheism does as well. I mean, it just, atheism exists to fly in the face of religion. So
like people won't think about
religion. Right. You don't need to define yourself as an atheist once there is.
Right. Yeah. I mean, but if you don't define yourself as an atheist, you're still an atheist.
But I mean, sure, but
like that's a common kind of joke, I guess, prominent atheists make, is like, ideally in a world without religion, they wouldn't have to call themselves atheists. Like, I don't have to call myself like a Zeusist. That's just, by default, everyone assumes I don't believe in Zeus. I don't have to call myself an unicornist. So even if we don't think about it, it's still the case.
But I think atheism is still capable of being wrong about just as many things. Not just as many, sorry, but still, it's still fallible, So what modern atheism looks like isn't
Necessarily
necessarily
same.
what postmodern atheism looks like, let alone what the truth is.
I mean, that could be.
So to say a world without religion is straight up an atheist world, I think is a bit reductionist, but I get the point. I mean, I understand that that's what we want as atheists anyway, but still, I don't think that they are then inherently in the right.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Basically, it's kind of like how if you were a pantheist 100 years ago, you'd probably be viewed as an atheist. But nowadays, pantheist is viewed as like not an atheist. Like you're more of a theist than an atheist.
But and as religion gets watered down, so does opinion about it. Yeah. So so someone who believes, say any of the shit that I did in 1,000 years, even though it's godless, even though it is even though it's watered down, it still will then be outlandish in comparison. It's still going to be more than right. So it will still be treated as religion, I think, is today in public view at least. Yeah. But, because again, 2,000 years ago, religion looked so fucking different than what it looks right now that, by that regard, we're all atheists today. Even the most devout of fucking Christians to a 1000 BC Orthodox fucking, I don't even know what would have been Orthodox at that fucking point, but even still. Really?
I think so.
I guess, maybe. So fine, if you're a 1000 BC Orthodox Jew, you look nothing like even the most Orthodox Jew does today. I don't like having picked Judaism for this, but still. But it's just as perception changed. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, do you have any parting words?
No, I've said a lot of words. I think I'm good.
Okay. Well, thank you for listening to this episode. I hope it was enjoyable.
Me too.